right. This is Lone Star, and I took a left at the valley.
Fantastic.
I know we shouldn't have to scream that we're atheists. You know, we don't have non-astrologers and all that. But with the religious people taking over the world, I mean, we can either speak up or be pushed into a corner.
I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist.
Coming at you from amazing Canada, this is Left of the Valley. My name is Kevin, and there are two interesting facts about me. One, my penis isn't as long as a foot long at Subway. And two, I'm no longer welcome at Subway. Joining me as usual is the team wondering if mashed potatoes are just Irish guacamole.
Yes. Yes, they are. And they are delicious.
She ran 3 miles and finally said, "Fine, officer, keep your gun." Nancy.
I know, but it was what happened after that that's really interesting.
She wasn't that drunk when she threw a mushroom at a midget and said, "Grow, Mario, grow." Christina.
I was really drunk, okay, guys?
And she wonders if vegans are allowed to have oral sex. Kirsten. Asking for a friend?
That's a really good question.
Guys, welcome back. Hope you had a great week.
Oh, it's a good thing we've got a big show where we can overcome the beginning.
Yeah.
People will forget about the beginning. It's such a long, good show.
Also, when they tell you not to make a drinking game out of the presidential debates, you should listen to them.
You probably should.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you don't have a hangover.
Oh, I did.
And we got a special guest on the show. Welcome back to our old friend Ahmed. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
It feels so great to have you here, man. You have no idea.
It's
always good to see you.
You say that now, but...
No, you should be our guest. You should come as our guest more often.
I should.
Yes.
I really should.
You should be part of the crew, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe give me an offer. Are you getting paid? No.
Get all the coffee you want.
Okay, I'm in.
So today we're doing our Canada Day special because it is,
Canada Day coming up.
July 1st, right? So we're recording this just before. But first, let's do a bit of chit-chat. Okay, so did you guys hear that Canada, speaking of Canada, they passed a new law banning the import-export of shark fin?
Yeah.
I was surprised that wasn't already banned.
Apparently, it's been hailed as a big environmental win. Apparently, we are the first country in the G20 to do so.
Which is disgusting. The fact that we are the first and it's 2019.
For people that don't know, shark fin is usually used in traditional Chinese cuisine, especially for shark fin soup, which is a very popular dish served at weddings. Mm-hmm. And, of course, shark population, there's been several documentaries about this. It's a really cruel practice because what they do is they fish a shark and they cut off the fin and just throw the shark back in the water. And of course, the damn thing can't swim without the fins, and it just sinks and essentially drowns at the bottom. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a cruel thing. Canada apparently is the largest importer of shark fin outside of Asia.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably because we have a large Asian population.
Yes.
Yeah, so does the U.S.,
But we're way more accepting of their cultural practices.
Maybe. Last year, there was 148,241 kilograms of shark fin imported into Canada.
Damn.
Which is worth about $3.2 million. So that's very interesting and very rewarding for us to do that.
I'm happy we stopped.
Yes.
Perfect. For the first time in history, also, the Canadian government has officially announced that they've banned a right-wing extremist group and they've labeled them as terrorists. And this is the first time in our history we've ever done this. Two groups in particular. Mm-hmm. There's a group called Blood and Honor and Combat 18 are now considered illegal groups. And they're the right-wing extremist groups, yes.
Yeah.
They've also added to that 3 Sharia militant groups called Al-Ashtar and, oh boy, I'm going to massacre this, Harakat al-Sabirin? Sabirin?
Harakat al-Sabirin.
Oh, thank you.
And you're now an official member of the crew. You can pronounce things. We need that.
Yes, we totally need that. And another one I believe it's called Fate Miyun.
Who?
Fate Miyun.
Al-Fatimiyun?
Okay. I'll take your word.
Never heard of them.
But there's no
Sounds
al.
like a...
There's no al.
Okay.
It's
So
just Fatimiyun.
from the name, seems like it would be a Shia's group.
It's
not a Sunni
just
group.
spelled Fate and Miyoun.
Fatimiyun. Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with them.
That's probably a Shia group.
So they were all
interesting. Majority of the terrorist groups are Sunni groups, and from the name, this sounds like a Shia group. That would be interesting to have a Shia group designated as a terrorist group. I'm going to Google them up.
Canada also defines extremism as any act of violence driven by hate or fear, in case you were wondering about the definition, because it seems to vary from country to country.
That's a very simple definition. You'd think they'd have to go through, pretzel moves to try and include or exclude, but that's really, say it one more time, it's so simple.
It defines extremism as an act of violence driven by hate or fear, which of course at the same time has huge repercussion.
Seems too broad.
Yeah, but at the same time, it has repercussion on our freedom of speech, as defined by Canada. Inciting hate, and maybe we'd have to ask a lawyer for that.
No, but a guy could kill his wife because he hates her. That's an act of violence based on hate and fear.
It's called murder, and it is kind of extreme. I've met his wife, and trust me, it was scary. And last but certainly not least, you guys hear about this Alabama woman?
Yes.
Alabama. And she was 5 months pregnant, and she had an argument with another woman outside the dollar store. This is why I tell you dollar stores are dangerous. And she ended up being shot. And she lost her fetus, the child, the baby. And the woman was then charged with manslaughter, and she was held on a $50,000 bond, and the charge was later dismissed. And then the Lieutenant Danny Reed from the police force says the only true victim in this was the unborn baby. And the grand jury is considering charges for the mother as well. And apparently, from last I heard, she was also charged as well.
And I was listening this morning, and 2 lawyers were on, and I'm hoping I get this semi-accurate, as close to the truth as I can remember. There's some arcane law in Alabama that says if a pregnant woman endangers her unborn baby in any way, she's going to be held responsible. And because the mother, whose name I forget, the mother initiated the fight using that Alabama law, that's how they can charge her. But the 2 lawyers who were discussing this on CNN this morning said that they think that law is not constitutional and it's not going to fly because they could put the mother in jail for up to 20 years for that. But this is an Alabama thing, and I guess it's not in every state. So there's going to be, I would imagine at this point, some pushback or some file to prevent that from going
through. How would this react if it was like Florida with that stand your ground law, right?
What's that law? What's that Florida's law?
The stand your ground?
What is that?
Is if you're feeling intimidated or somebody's... it works especially if you're, I guess, if you're black or brown or anything like that, right? If you're, let's say, for example, I'm a white guy and you're coming at me and I think you're intimidating, I have the right to shoot you in self-defense. Stand your ground.
Wow.
But you can do it with white guys. The thing is, if you feel as though your life is in imminent danger, if you think that...
Get a bag of Skittles or something like that, right?
Exactly. And it was the NRA that pushed that law through as many states as possible. I think 12 or 13 states now have that.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of giving you the right to shoot anybody you damn please whenever you want to because you think that your life is in danger.
Yeah. And if you go to states like Louisiana, for example, they have the right to shoot. If you're on their property, even if you're not a threat, you're just on their property, they have the right to shoot you.
Yeah, I heard about this.
So you have to be dedicated to be a Jehovah's Witnesses down there, for sure.
But for that Alabama woman, even if she initiated the fight, how would that be considered endangering the child? Unless you are supposed to expect that when you initiate a verbal fight with somebody in Alabama, you're going to get shot. So how is she endangering the child by just going into a verbal fight with somebody?
As far as the law is concerned, as soon as you're pregnant, you should be, I guess, just a baby incubator. And if you get into a verbal argument in any way, shape, or form, you have the possibility of the fight escalating to the point you're endangering not just your life, but the life of the child or the...
Right, the quick
It's not
answer.
normal that a verbal fight would turn into a fist fight or even worse.
It's a dollar store,
gunshot.
man. It's at the dollar store. I'm telling you.
Yeah, also, so they can throw chips bags at each other. So, like that's should be the maximum you can expect out of that.
Yeah, the overarching and simple explanation is it's Alabama.
Yeah.
Everything that follows, from that, it doesn't have to be logical. It's good if it has some religious component to it. And at some time, somebody got that law through that got some money in their pocket because that's the most corrupt state going. So there's no logic to it, and it'll probably be overturned. But for now, just think it's Alabama, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
Yeah.
It's like Florida plus religion in a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, moving on. My dear Nancy, you got a top 10 for us?
I do.
All right.
A special one for Canada Day. The nice thing about traveling in Canada is generally you can pull off the road anywhere, take a look, fall in love with where you are, and want to move up here. That's just the way it goes. Every province in the country has something that's wonderful and scenic, and generally we've covered those in terms of visiting, but today let's do a little bit different because it's Canada Day and people love to camp out. So how about we do 10 places where it would be great for you to camp out. And some of these are not well known to people outside Canada, and some are. So we'll just I'm not even taking them in order of 1 through 10. Whatever appeals to you, that's number 1 on your list. So the first place, and it's here in British Columbia, and maybe somebody in our room here in our group knows it, Berg Lake Campground in Mount Robson Provincial Park in British Columbia.
Nope, doesn't ring a bell.
No, that's a new one to us. It's located across from the highest mountain in the Rockies, Mount Robson, and people set up camp and just soak in the views of alpine meadows and glaciers, and activities are caving, climbing, hiking, canoeing, fishing, and horseback riding, so it sounds really good. They have bear-proof storage lockers,
Good to
pit
know.
toilets, and wash basins. So campers, there's a number of areas that feature hazardous terrain and are recommended for experienced hikers and campers. So those of you who are experienced, maybe you'd want to try that out. Good place, sounds like. Number 2, Cypress Lake Campground in Bruce Peninsula National Park in Ontario. Well, that's a second wonder that nobody's heard of up here. That's great.
Let's face it, most of us are pretty ignorant of national parks, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, you're not campers, but there are campers that are going to be writing this down and come on up and enjoy them.
That's that thing with a tent, right?
Yeah, this is part of the Niagara Escarpment, and believe it or not, it's one of the largest protected areas in southern Ontario. Hiking, swimming, bird watching. They've got picnic areas, water taps, cold water sinks, basic washroom facilities. So it's pretty civilized. You know, you can get out and enjoy, but you can also come back and have hot water showers and things like that. Number 3, Beaver Glen Campground in Prince Albert National Park, Saskatchewan. Yeah, another one that we're going to discover.
Probably very flat.
That's in central Saskatchewan. But it's a gorgeous park filled with lakeside views, untouched backcountry, and if you don't really want to do a tent thing, you can rent these little things called authentics, which are structures that look like an A-frame cabin in a regular tent.
Sounds like authentic, but authentic.
Yeah,
that's how they came up with the name.
It's authentic camping.
Yeah. And they advertise flush toilets, and sometimes that's number 1 on your list for people who camp. And believe me, having spent 8 years being a full-time RVer, when you look at flush toilets, it's an amenity that immediately soars to the top of the list.
Saskatchewan, a little known fact for our American friends, is Saskatchewan is so flat because it's directly on the plains. If you stare long enough into the distance, you can see the back of your head.
didn't even list that as a feature.
I know, you think,
I'm
right?
going to have to write them and say, hey, guys, you've overlooked something important. Number 4, Acray, I think it's Acray, Achray, Acray Campground in Algonquin Provincial Park in Ontario.
Yep.
Oh, you're nodding your head. You know that one?
Well, I wouldn't know that particular camp, but, I know the area a bit.
Okay, it's between Georgian Bay and the Ottawa River in central Ontario.
Yeah.
Okay, so supposedly it's a perfect spot. You can spend your whole summer there if you really like it. It's open from the last Friday in April, so it's open to Canadian Thanksgiving, which is somewhere around October the 12th, and it has 45 campsites, so it's not really big, but it's a nice size. Fishing, canoeing, backpacking, and swimming. Perfect summer activities. Flush toilets. Gotta remember. Okay. 2 Jack Lakeside Campground in Banff.
Oh, okay.
Who doesn't want to go
We
to
know
Banff?
Banff.
Banff is the oldest national park in Canada. People do come and spend their whole summers there. It's gorgeous lakes, traditional campsites, bungalows for rent, boating, biking, geocaching, whatever that is.
Geocaching, yeah.
Yeah, and fishing and hiking.
They're starting to have an actual problem with Banff. The wildlife is starting to get really smart. Because the elks and the deer and all that are realizing that when they come into town, the wolves don't follow because the wolves are afraid of the humans.
Okay.
So they come to town to stay away from the wolves. But once they're in town, they're starting to realize, oh, you know what? These humans aren't that tough. They can just push them around a bit. So it's actually becoming a bit of a problem.
I would imagine, yeah. Banff.
You got a big elk coming at you saying, this is my spot. Move out of the way there, you ape. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah, Banff is a great place, but I understand that the crowds are just getting to the point that it's really unmanageable.
Popular.
So, Banff is great. You might want to go take a look and then try some of these other campgrounds, that aren't as crowded. So here's one that maybe no one ever heard of, but it sounds nice. Trout River Campground in Grossmorn National Park, Newfoundland.
Oh.
Anybody been to Newfoundland? It's
No, I had to have a fish name, obviously. It's Newfoundland.
Yeah, that's a province that's on my list. This is a World Heritage Site on the West Coast, the second largest national park in Atlantic, Canada. Who knew?
Ooh.
So this is like cliffs and fjords and coastal villages, kayaking, cycling, swimming, hiking, and boat tours. And they have cabins for rent with flush toilets. So it's sounding
Another
better.
plus.
Yeah, there we go. Number 7, you're going to help me, Kevin. La Bleuvette, B-L-E-U-V-E-T.
La Bleuvette? So spell it again?
Le B-L-E-U-V-E-T.
Bleuvette, yeah.
Bleuvette, okay. And this is Sangway Fjord Park in Quebec.
Yeah, Saguenay.
Do you know where this is?
Yeah, it's north of Chicoutimi, yeah.
Oh, it's at the where the St. Lawrence River and the Saguenay River kind of join
that's
together?
right, that's right.
Yeah, have you ever been in that area?
No, I know the region. I haven't been in that area. Oh God, to win in passing. It's a nice little river. Actually, it has a nice crater lake at the end of it that actually dumps into the St. Lawrence River. It's really nice.
Oh, well, they've got 50 campsites. They can accommodate tents, recreational vehicles, and there's hiking trails, observation deck. They're beluga that are there. You can watch them.
And for the gentlemen out there, if you're going to visit a camp, by the way, ratio of women to guys, almost 3 to 1.
Yeah.
It's actually true.
Yeah, sailing, hiking, swimming, kayaking, and
that's how
fishing.
I know the region, right?
We're going, yeah. Okay, here's another one in BC, the main campground in Alice Lake Provincial Park. Anybody know where
Alice Lake?
Alice Lake.
No.
It's just north of Squamish.
Oh, okay, really? It's not far.
So it's between Squamish and Whistler.
Oh, really? It's really not far.
A friend of mine was just mentioning this one to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he went there. He was
cool.
recommending it to me.
Nice.
Yeah,
road trip.
Yeah.
Road trip, yeah.
Lots of scenic trails, and then you can take in Squamish and Whistler and the Sea to Sky Highway. It's gorgeous.
I love Squamish. It's like a less expensive Whistler. It's awesome.
Yeah, I love Squamish.
My cousin used to live there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are really...
Because you go to Whistler, it's like, my God, you better have some money.
Yeah, I mean, we are the best province in terms of scenic wonders and nature.
Oh, yeah,
things like that.
It's hard
that
to beat
whole
BC.
stretch between Vancouver and Whistler, you could spend the whole summer, just going to different
I usually
areas.
tell that to my American friends that come up to Vancouver. Hey, Vancouver is nice, don't get me wrong. But it's a big city, right? If you really want something that'll stretch your imagination, you just... The sea to sky, go to Whistler, climb the mountain, get on top there. Yeah, it's really absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's great. And for us, we're so lucky because it's 2 hours, and we're there a little over 2 hours.
One of the things about Alice Lake that my friend was telling me about, that the water there is not that it's not a glacier.
Okay.
It's not that cold.
Oh, nice.
It's really nice to swim in.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, when he told me, like, it's north of Squamish, I thought, it's going to be freezing cold. He said, no, it was actually nice water.
Yeah. It actually gets surprising because right up now far from here is also Harrison Hot Springs, obviously, which is extremely popular, but that is glacier fed. You get into that water, that is cold water. It's like, holy...
even the Harrison Lake?
Yeah,
Harrison
it's
freezing.
Lake. It's absolutely freezing. Yes. Even in the scorching summer, there you're thinking, I'm just going to take it in. It's like, woo, that water is cold.
Yeah. Canadians, we can handle it.
Yeah. No, it's nice. And then you be in Squamish and take the, what do you call those? Not the cable cars, but...
The trolleys, the gondolas.
Yeah. So... Yeah.
On top of the mountain,
Let's stop the show now. We'll go and we'll come back with a review
pause.
next week. It's here we are. It's a beautiful day. And,
sounds like a plan.
Yeah, we're ready to go. Okay, number 9 is the Equestrian Campground in Cypress Hills Interprovincial Park, again in Saskatchewan. Yeah, it's supposed to be very nice. It's supposed to be a park that spans the Saskatchewan and Alberta border, and it can accommodate campers who want to travel with their horses. So those of you that want to combine, your hiking with horseback riding, and you want to take your horses out for a great experience, go there. That sounds really, really good. Hiking, golfing, swimming, horseback riding. They got playgrounds, picnic areas, showers, outhouses, drinking water, and barbecues. I don't know. It sounds like we should take a road trip there, too.
Little known fact is that when we have a lot of European tourists that come to Canada, and one of the things they love to do is drive the prairies, because you can be by yourself on that little highway for miles without seeing another car.
Yep.
And in Europe, it's a rare thing. It's extremely rare to have to bump into people.
Well, in Europe, you take a hop, skip, and a jump, and you're in a different country.
Exactly, right? Yeah. So the Europeans really loved the idea, I'm just driving on this flat piece of land, and I can't see a car as far as the eye can see, and they love that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, number 10. Corny Brook Campground in Cape Breton Highlands National Park, Nova Scotia. Got to get all of our provinces in. Yeah, that's supposed to be, it is located northern Camp Breton, and Camp Breton Island, and features ocean and mountain views, hiking right along the coastline, the Cabot Trail that takes full advantage of going through the park, and lots of moose and bald eagles.
Nice.
So that sounds good. Well, those are the top 10. And then honorable mention was Cavendish Campground in Prince Edward Island, Tulabee Falls in Manitoba, Lecaster Campground in Point Talion National Park in Quebec.
Nice.
And let me see, we got 2 more. Chignetto Campground in Fundy National Park, New Brunswick. Just got to be
Bay of Fundy, of course.
Yeah, and Talus Lake Background Country Campground in Tombstone Territorial Park, Yukon. So
there's a Tombstone Territorial Park in Yukon, really?
There is. The thing is, if you go online and you want to type in best campgrounds in Canada, there are about 13 websites, all of which have different or some overlapping. There is no end to beautiful places, so just put in campgrounds in Canada, and take your pick, and come on up and enjoy the summer.
Cool. All right. Okay, well, thank you so much, Nancy. All right, moving on to Canada Day Special. Now, I have a treat for you guys. Years ago, I met this tall, charismatic gentleman named Paul Manley. He was a documentary filmmaker, and I helped him with some of his fascinating movies that he was doing on economic measures and stuff like that. We became friends, and I saw him get involved in politics, and then he joined the Green Party. And to my wonderful surprise, and I was really happy to see that happen, he actually was just elected as a member of parliament for the for Ladysmith-Nainamo right here in BC on the island. So I was really, really looking forward to actually being able to talk. So for the first time in our podcast's history, we actually have a genuine politician from Ottawa right here on the show with us. So without any further ado, all right, well, our next guest is the Green MP that was elected for Ladysmith-Nainamo. He's a fantastic guy. He's a snappy dresser and a snazzy dancer. Paul Manley, thank you so much for joining us at Left of the Valley.
I've never been introduced that way before, but that's fine. I'm a snappy dresser and a fancy dancer.
Well,
so
you could totally be that in
How you doing,
Parliament.
Kevin?
I'm doing great. Paul, I have to tell you, on a personal basis, man, you and I, we've known each other for a little while. You and I met when I was trying to show one of your documentaries from the past. That was You, Me, and the SPP, which I still have here in my collection. You have no idea how happy I was when I saw that you had been elected. And I was following you on Facebook, and I was sharing your posts, even though I'm not one of your constituents, but I was still trying to spread the word. And I was so happy when you got in, because I know you as a man of honor. I know you as a man of integrity. And it was such a relief, because, you know, when you delve into politics a lot, you have a tendency to become a bit cynical and think, oh, these politicians, you know, you hear it all the time. They're all paid off, blah, 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 blah. And I said, no, I know Paul. I know he's a good man. And it was so great to see you there. So I got to say, you know, from the bottom of my heart, man, congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Well, thanks so much. I mean, people ask me about why, you know, I get that a lot about the cynicism of politics, and people saying, like, you know, why do you bother, and why get involved in this rigged game, and it's corrupt, and yada, yada, yada. Uh-huh. And my response to that is that we need to work from every angle that we can, to make the world a better place, and to, you know, kind of leave the world in a state that we want our children and grandchildren to inherit. And, you know, if you're awake to the environmental crisis, to the social justice crisis, to the inequality that we have in the world, to the, you know, you're aware of you know, the war and the famine and the poverty, and all of these things can be super overwhelming, and you see politics and wonder, like, how do people fix in that arena when it seems like, you know, you get that line about politicians being in it for themselves, yada yada. But you can't abandon that playing field. We need to work at every level to do what we can to make the world a better place, and to strive for social justice, and actually to, like, deal with this environmental crisis, you know, the collapse, the species collapse, the biodiversity collapse, the climate crisis, and things like that. And so I have hopped into the political arena because of that. I've been making films for years, documentaries and educational films, and doing lots of grassroots work in my community.
Yes.
But politics is important. Yes. And actually, you know, getting into the House of Commons, I do see a lot of people that are there for the right reasons, and I think people get caught. Some people get really caught up in the partisan part of politics. That's not something that I really subscribe to. I'm not a hyper partisan person. I want to get in there and do what's best for my community and constituents, and for the country.
And I can't think of a better man to do the job, because, like I said, we've known each other for a while, and, you know, I when I think of a man of integrity and honor, you know, you're definitely up there. So now that you're the second Green MP for the country, and this year is an election year federally, do you think the idea of having the Greens has an idea that whose time has come?
I think so. I think people are tired of the politics as usual, and the sniping and the backbiting, and really want to see action on a lot of different things. And people are starting to hear the message. People are starting to understand that the Green Party is not just about the environment. You know, we have a policy book that's 136 pages that covers pretty much any issue you can think of, but the environment is central to our lives,
yes.
Right? So we can't have good health care at an affordable price if the environment that we live in is poisoned
Yes.
and toxic. That costs us in the healthcare system. We can't have an economy that is robust and regenerative and sustainable if we're trashing the environment on which we depend for our lives. So the environment plays into every aspect of our lives, and a lot of times humans feel disconnected from it because we live in urban areas and we're surrounded by towers and cars and roads, and we don't necessarily feel or see the direct impacts of the changing climate or the changing environment until we're struck by disaster.
No, I think you get a great point, because I think people really see, you're right, we live in what feels like an artificial environment, and when people hear global warming, oh, it's going to warm up by 2 degrees, it doesn't sound like a big deal, and people, I don't know, and people also, a lot of them, their dependency to believe on something kind of depends on the fact that they're not being paid to not believe it. You know what I mean? It's like, when your salary depends on you not being an environmentalist, it's kind of hard for you to be an environmentalist. But I think you and I would agree that the status of the planet as a whole is deteriorating alarmingly fast now, and it seems it's becoming more and more of a problem. So I'm hoping that you and Miss Elizabeth May, which is fantastic, by the way. I remember giving her a hug when she came by. She was so great. I hope you guys can inspire more people to come out and actually fight and become part of the Green Party. You guys think you get a good shot?
I think so. Elections are weird things. They're won and lost on strange things, and I think because for the most part the electorate doesn't have a lot of time focus on nuances of party policies and things like that, and sometimes mistakes can swing an election in a crazy way in the last few days, and so you just never know what's going to happen. But I think that more and more what I see is people who are inspired to make change and to work for that change, and so pushing all the parties to think more clearly about the crisis we face is part of what I'm about. And when I got elected, that's what happened. I did so many interviews on the first day that I was, after the by-election. I did so many interviews that night, but it really it changed the conversation. The next morning, Justin Trudeau was talking about Nanaimo Ladysmith and the fact that people are concerned about climate change.
Yes.
Right? And within a week, both the NDP and the Liberals had put forward climate emergency motions, and it became an active debate in Parliament. But we need to do more than talk about it. We need to actually take action, and those bold actions that we need to take, they're scary for people,
yes.
Right? But I think people need to get beyond that fear. And what we did in our campaign, we talked about a lot of the positive things that are happening, and we were showing a very clear path to how we can transform our economy from a fossil fuel-based economy to a clean, green energy economy. And so on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, we're constantly posting what other people are doing here and abroad. Like, about Harbour Air, which is a local company, 50 seaplanes. They have converted one of their de Havilland planes to electric. They've been flying it around for a while. They're getting it all certified. They're going to change their whole seaplane fleet to electric planes, so there's zero-emission planes flying around here. And, we were posting stuff like Caterpillar's got a battery-operated excavator, and people were like, how would that work? Well, it won't work if you're out building pipelines across the continent, but you'll still need a diesel-generated Caterpillar excavator for that, but we won't need to build pipelines if we change our energy model. So most places where you need an excavator, you're near the grid, so you park it for the night and you plug it in. And people using regenerative agriculture techniques and sequestering carbon by the way that they grow food instead of the big agricultural model, which is carbon intensive. And so many examples of people who are doing small things in their lives, like eating less meat, eating less animal products, biking, walking, changing the way they work, changing their lifestyles, and in ways that aren't scary. And it's like, people need to change their habits. Government needs to change the way it does business, and business needs to change the way it does business. And there's a place for government in regulating how business is done in this country and how people behave in this country, because not everybody's going to do the right thing for the right reason. And sometimes you need to have disincentives through pricing of pollutants, and sometimes you need to have incentives, so that you drive consumer behavior a certain way, and that's like, perfect example of why you have carbon taxes, and then you have incentives on buying electric cars, or upgrading your home heating and insulating your home better, and having incentive programs to make sure people do those kind of things, and do them in a way that they feel joyful about, right? So,
yeah, I often compare that to, it's a bit like if somebody wants to try to lose some weight, and a diet doesn't work. But it looks like it works, but it doesn't work. And that's what the other parties have been proposing. It's only when you have a change of lifestyle that you actually start working out all the time, and not just for a month or so. That's when the results actually come in. And I think this is what the Green Party represents. And I think this is what the electorate is actually starting to see. They're tired of this dance between the Conservatives and the Liberals. They're really tired of it, because it's led us nowhere fast. And I think you guys are in that prime position now to actually start to make an impact. I think people are starting to stop looking down south to the States. We've always done that in English Canada. And they're starting to look to Europe, and they're seeing the Greens are powerful in Europe in many places. Why not here, right?
Yeah, and where the Europeans have had, I'm not thinking about Italy or Israel for proportional representation, but where European countries that have proportional representation systems, and they've had small contingents of Greens, they have pushed the envelope. Whether it's recycling or clean energy or other environmental aspects, or taking care of people in a better way, improving health systems so that you're actually improving people's health outcomes rather than waiting until they're in emergency situations. So preventative health and maintaining your body and those kind of things, like those are really important for saving money in the long term. And it's those small Green parties who have kind of pushed that agenda as being part of coalition government. Mm-hmm. And they've had a lot of success in Europe, and now they're really going mainstream. And I think people in other parts of the world are seeing that and seeing this a global green movement towards changing the way we live and changing the way we interact with the environment on which we depend for our survival. Yeah.
So, Paul, now that you've been in Ottawa for a couple of weeks, when you look at the overall landscape, the political landscape of Canada, are you very positive about the future of what we can achieve as a people, or are you seeing that people are still stuck in the old ways, as they used to say?
Well, I'm a little bit worried about some of the debate that we hear with governments in Alberta and Ontario. Mm-hmm. But I think that what people in those places too are waking up to the fact that it can't just be business as usual, and we can't just keep on going down this road. And I worry when I hear that people are concerned about climate change, but they're not willing to spend more than $100 a year to do something about it. And I'm like, really? Like, that's not even a coffee a day. Come on.
Exactly.
Let's get serious and think about. People have no qualms at all about spending $100 on some plastic junky toys that are going to end up in the landfill. Yeah. Buying their children or grandchildren, those kind of things. So you're not willing to spend that kind of money to actually ensuring that they have a future that's not, a climate disaster. Seriously, people, let's get with the program and think about things in a different way. If you're thinking about, paying a carbon tax, you're you're paying a dividend towards your children's future if that tax is used properly. I mean, that's the problem with the carbon tax in British Columbia should have been used rather than this giving tax breaks to the rich.
Yes.
Income tax breaks. It should have been used for infrastructure to deal with climate change. So it should have been like, greening our transit systems, improving our transit systems, incentives for people to make their homes more energy efficient, incentives for people to get off of fossil fuel, internal combustion engines. That's what that carbon tax should have been used for. And, having a dividend that goes to people that dividend being tied to climate mitigation, right? And then you're making that tax work as an incentive to help people and help people make that transition. Because it's hard to educate everybody all the time about everything because people are busy. People are struggling. We live in a world where there is so much inequality.
Yeah.
People in my community have 3 part-time jobs, working minimum wage to survive, to pay rents that keep on increasing. And I can't expect them to be aware of all of the issues and concerned about climate change and doing the right thing. They're trying to survive.
Yeah.
They're doing the right thing by, putting food on the table and working. And so that's where governments come in to help to make the transition for people and industry. And I love to see companies like Harbour Air doing what they're doing, electrifying their whole seaplane fleet and not doing it for a dime of subsidy. But we do need to have incentives for other companies to do that. That's a company that's doing it because they're motivated to do the right thing. Not every company is motivated to do the right thing. They're motivated by profit. And so how do you incentivize them? Well, you dangle, the carrot and you use the stick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe the fact that, if we didn't live in a corporate world and corporations having the only obligation is to make more money, if it wasn't a corporation, maybe they'd be more open to accepting the change. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's the model of the publicly traded corporation where they're stuck with that model of having to increase wealth for shareholders. Privately owned corporations can make decisions about their bottom line without having to worry about their shareholders because their shareholders are the owners and operators, and they can they're in a better position. Frankly, to make those decisions. It doesn't mean that they all do.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much, Paul. I really, really appreciate that. I know you're fighting a good fight, and, you got my support, and, I'm not a constituent, but nonetheless, I'm cheering for you, my man. And, go fight the good fight, and if there's anything we can do or anything you want to say to the public about the Greens are getting involved, by all means, go for it, man. Anything you'd like to say to them?
Yeah, people hop in and get involved in election campaigns. I think with our campaign in Nanaimo, we're going to do this for the second time this year, which is kind of hard because it means fundraising all over again, but and gearing up all the volunteers. But what we've done with our campaign is run a really positive campaign, a really community-driven campaign, and we are like a community of friends and family that go out and are fighting the good fight and doing it in a way that is enjoyable and fun. And so, in a non-toxic way too. I think the attack politics and the dirty politics, when you don't engage in that kind of stuff, you feel much better about it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right, Paul, before I let you go, I got to have you say, hi, this is Paul Manley of Ladysmith-Nainamo, and I took a left in the valley.
All right. I took a left in the valley. Is that what you want to say? That's right.
You took a left in the valley.
Okay, so this is Paul Manley, and member of Parliament for Nanaimo Ladysmith, and I took a left in the valley.
Well, that was the Green Member of Parliament for Ladysmith-Nainamo. Thank you so much, Paul Manley. A first on our show to actually have a genuine politician from Ottawa. Well, continuing on our Canada Day special, we might as well ask our American friends what they think of us. So we thought we'd reach out to Brent and Nikki of Unapologetix. All right, well, joining us online are our friend Brent and Nikki, and they're actually wearing pants, I'm told. Yay! So, from Unapologetix, guys, welcome back to Left of the Valley. It's great to have you guys back, and you guys are hailing all the way from America's Wang, also known as Florida.
Yes, the most masculine part.
The most masculine part.
Yes.
As much as Canada is like America's hat, Florida is like America's Wang.
Yes.
Little known fact.
There's nothing like really making our guests hate us within the first 30 seconds. And now you expect him to say something nice about Canada. Lots of luck, Kev.
I didn't expect him to say something nice about Canada, but the reason I call on Brent and Nikki...
It's a good thing, then.
Yes, it is a good thing. The reason I call on Brent and Nikki is because they're about as far removed in North America as they are from... We don't have any Mexican contacts, so... in the U.S. from Canada, but I want to have their impression, their dealings with Canadians, how they feel about Canada, what they know, what they don't know, the myth, the questions, whatever. So we're just going to turn the mic on to you guys. Guys, how do you feel about those damn Canucks?
Like the man, the legend, the myth.
All of those things.
All right. We can do that.
Okay,
Canada.
so of course we think Canada is like amazing and the safest place ever.
Right, yes. As far as like laws go and things like that, I think you guys are way ahead of us.
Doing a better job of seeing, humans as like humans.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their issues, of course.
Right.
But for the most part, I mean, we're in St. Petersburg, Florida, which of course has Clearwater Beach. So we have a ton of Canadians, to the point that we even have like a Canadian clinic here. Like that
Canadian
takes
clinic?
only Canadians.
Wait, what?
Like a medical
We have
clinic?
a Canadian clinic?
Yes.
Wow.
So, like, you
If
can
you're
use
visiting from
Canadians,
Canada,
so you can use
we have
Canadians'
the clinic
health
for you.
plan in it?
Wow.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
So you mean, like, Ahmed, you say, so what, they use like Canadian healthcare there? What?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Get out of here.
Wow.
It is a clinic for Canadians.
Now, are you sure that's not a medical marijuana dispensary? Because they kind of look the same.
I mean, it may have multiple functions. I mean, that is a part of healthcare.
And those go for everybody. That's
Yeah.
like,
Those are everywhere.
Is it called something like Canadian Stoners Clinic or something like that? Because I would start believing that.
No, it's not that obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we do. We have a lot of Canadians here. And
had no idea.
a lot of Ontario license plates and like Quebec license plates, which always, what are y'all doing? Are you actually driving? Are they actually driving
I
down
don't
from
think they
Quebec?
They are, yes.
Yeah.
What?
Oh my!
No! They drove all the way from up there. No.
It's not that far.
I mean, if you spend one winter in Ontario and Quebec, you'd go down to Florida. It's no mystery.
Yeah.
Freeze your butt or enjoy the warmth under the palm trees. What are you going to choose?
Yeah, well, we refer to them as snowbirds.
Yeah.
They usually go, especially during the Canadian winter, they'll go down to the U.S. Retired couples usually or something like that. They'll spend their winter.
That's what we call
Yeah,
them
we
too,
call them too,
snowbirds.
but we put the F word in front of fucking snowbird. Fucking asshole.
It's that time of year again. Damn, because I gotta say, Canadian drivers are very polite on the road.
I think that depends on where in Canada they're from.
I was expecting slow.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean by that.
See?
What they do is they flip you the bird, but they say sorry at the same time. Right?
Exactly. Like, it's aggressive niceness, and I can't take it.
Yeah. I think that's why Ricky is so funny. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like
Now he's talking about Trailer Park Boys,
sorry,
which
I can't.
incidentally is the only
It's like
thing Brent
one of
knows
my
about
favorite
Canada.
things ever. But
You get a lot of people in St. Petersburg. Sounds like a Russian thing, but in Florida, and whatever you guys are there, that actually there's some stores that complain, oh, these Canadians are coming down here to our Costco and they're stealing all our milk and stuff like that or whatever.
Yes, because our food apparently is
milk is expensive.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so interestingly, I have a little interesting connection to Canada.
Oh.
So I'm like really into true crime and serial killers, and the like crime that got me into it. Like one of the first ones I ever saw was Karla Homolka.
Oh, okay, Karla Homolka, yeah.
Yeah, so that was like one of my entryways into like Canada. was a serial killer story.
Yeah, serial killers.
They were like this husband-wife rapist murderer couple. It's awful.
The toy box?
No. That's in America. That's like in Texas.
What was the name of the other guy? That was
I know. I can't. Paul Bernardo.
Toy box.
Paul Bernardo. Thank you.
Paul Bernardo.
Yeah,
That's
Bernardo
it.
and Carla Homolka. Yeah, exactly. Wow.
That is incredibly Canadian. They seem so beautiful and nice, and they were really terrible people.
That's why they were so good.
So now that's how you think of us as beautiful
real
and nice,
beautiful
but
people that will kill you.
I would like to argue that if you take it to the in ratio to the population, I would think we have way more serial killers in Canada than they have in the States.
It's quite possible
compared to the number of to the population.
Yeah.
Our ratio is much higher.
Well, I see your point.
Well, if you
cold, it has to be.
You keep eating Tim Horton donuts, eventually you do turn rabid or something like that.
That is one thing that I have on my bucket list. I must go to Tim Hortons at some point because it's just everywhere now, and I must understand why it's so good.
Well, they made it.
You got to be seriously disappointed. I'm sorry. It's a glorified Dunkin' Donut. Come on, let's face it. It's.
No, but it's fun. I mean, it's affordable. People can sit there, like they do in Denny's. They can sit there all day and have coffee and have a sandwich.
It's like a Canadian Starbucks.
I'm not sure you're helping by comparing it to Denny's.
Well, no, I'm going to talk about people.
You can't sit there all day, though.
It's because they're from.
No, you can sit there all day if you want to.
Yeah,
nobody's going to kick you out.
Yeah, but they're familiar with Denny's, so that I have to do something.
I guess so, yeah.
You can go in there and nurse your cup of coffee and sit, and it's much better than Denny's. Everything is much better. But I just wanted to use an example they could relate to.
It's like a Starbucks, but with less variety in coffee and way more variety in food.
Yes, and better food.
Yeah,
such good food.
It's good enough.
And much more. How much is coffee now at Tim's?
An extra large French vanilla is like $2.
I was gonna say you should have this one figured out down pat.
Yeah. And the French vanilla is the most complicated term for a coffee at Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
Like we don't have the Starbucks like frappuccino, mochaccino, whatever. They don't have that.
Also, if you buy a coffee at Tim Hortons, you don't have to worry about making your next car payment. Unlike Starbucks.
We went to Starbucks today and got 2 drinks, 1 medium, 1 large, and spent $10.
That's so good. Yeah.
The minimum wage is $8.47.
Yes, exactly.
$10 American. That's like $20 for us.
Yeah. Like a large coffee, just normal coffee, is like $1.
Yeah.
It's so cheap.
So Nikki, in preparation for when you do come to Canada and order coffee, just remember to say double. That's all you have to say.
Double.
Yes.
Which is 2 creams, 2 sugars. Double.
I'll have it double.
2 creams, 2 sugars.
If you want 3 creams, 3 sugar. 3 creams, 3 sugar. You want a triple. Exactly.
Well, the possibility of there being a Tim's down there, we call them Timmy's. The possibility because they have so many Canadians down there that I bet the Canadians are saying and they're partnering with is it Wendy's that they partner with?
It used to be Wendy's.
Yeah,
I think
some locations.
I think it's owned by Burger King now.
Yeah, I think so. Burger King.
I think the company's been sold to Burger King.
Yeah, so hang in there, Nikki. We're coming. Timmy's is coming.
Isn't there a Timmy's in one state?
New York.
But they're in Detroit. I think they're in Michigan too.
Maybe.
And I know they opened in Dubai as well, by the way. There was a Tim Hortons in Dubai.
There's a Tim Hortons in Dubai?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a bit extreme, We're having a hard time to put one in New York, but we got one in Dubai.
Sure, why not?
Yes.
I thought he was saying to buy.
I think how it happened, I'm guessing here, that an Emirati guy came to Tim Hortons, do you have international franchise? And they told him, no, we don't do that. He said, okay, I'll give you $1 million. I said, no, we're not going to. I'll give you $10 million. I said, okay, take it.
We do now.
Hey, you found the number.
Little known fact as well about Tim Hortons, you might not know that in Ontario there's so many of them, and how they build them is they build a Tim Hortons, they take a donut, they toss it wherever it lands, they build another one. This is how they spread. Little known fact.
I would love to see that because this needs to be like a whole process. There needs to be commentators, cameras, slow motion replay of someone tossing a donut. I love this.
feel like it's like Walgreens and CVS here.
Awesome.
Yes,
You know,
we have a
hey,
lot of those.
We're here. We're Walgreens, and CVS is like, "Fuck you." So are we.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a constant buy-off between like pharmacies. It's insane.
So, Brent and Nikki, as ambassadors for your country, was there anything you'd like to say to us Canadians for a birthday this year or something like that? You want to tell us to fuck off, or you guys love us or something? Is there a message we can pass on to our audience?
Well, I don't think they want us to fuck off. I think they want to immigrate here.
I would say that.
Yes, please take us. We'll go anywhere. We'll go to Saskatchewan. We'll make it. We'll figure it out.
Oh, you would.
We could totally do that.
It'd be great.
I mean, we prefer BC though.
Oh, BC is the best.
Yeah, because we're here anyway, so you guys will come and see us.
Seriously, happy Canada Day. Thank you for always being the example of what we should be.
Yes! That's exactly what it is.
I mean, I know you're going through some bumps in the road right now and dealing with some of the same stuff we are, but you're still, holding yourself accountable.
And you're not entirely at fault, because that's kind of our fault.
Yeah.
Having dealt with that shit, and like, should we deal with this shit? And
yeah. Like, sorry for importing our fascism. We're so sorry. Apologies. But seriously, happy Canada Day, and I'm so jealous that you're still technically under Queen Elizabeth. Like, that is so badass to be in the Commonwealth. Like, that's really badass. So keep on being badass.
It's pretty badass, yes.
Yeah, well, I was telling the Americans, says, yeah, we have the queens. So, we get tons of drag queens down here. It doesn't matter.
Not know what I mean, but that's also awesome.
Awesome. Yes, that is fucking good.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brent and Nikki. I by the power invested in me, I've doubt you honorary Canadians. Not sure how that's going to work at the border, but give it a shot. It might work.
We're gonna do that.
No, Kevin said, bro.
Oh, Kevin said that. Yeah, we all know each other up here. Oh, Kevin said, sure, come on in. Don't forget to mention Bob, too. Bob. So, guys, quickly, just before we let you go, give our audience, if people you want to find out more about Unapologetix and the great, fantastic work you guys do, where can they find you?
We are at Unapologetix, spelled with an X at the end. Don't do the CS one, because that's
like a neo-Nazi podcast. That's not the one you want.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Well, with the X, that's a.
But you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher,
iHeartRadio.
Yes,
everywhere.
all of those places,
and
we're on Facebook, Unapologetix with an X.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's it.
Before you leave, happy 4th of July.
Yes. Might as well wish you that too. Yeah.
Well, Stranger Things is coming out that day, so methinks we won't be celebrating the birthday of our country.
We're not going to be doing anything.
Little known fact, the United States were formed in 1776, and we were so jealous of the 4th of July thing, we decided to just up you up by pushing it to the 1st in 1867.
Okay, we'll have our birthday first. Then
just to up the Americans just one. Brent, Nikki, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate that.
Thanks for having us. Y'all enjoy your day.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was Brent and Nikki of Unapologetix, and you can catch their fine show anywhere where podcasts are playing. Awesome. Okay, so now we continue. So you guys might not know, or you guys probably do know most of the facts, but maybe our American listeners don't. So here are some nice Canadian facts for you. Okay, did you guys know that Canada is actually 9.98 million square kilometers?
How many miles is that?
That'd be 3.85 square miles, million square miles.
Oh, wow.
So that's how big the country is. So it is the second biggest country in the world, geographically speaking, of course.
Yeah, it is.
I knew that I had to study it to get this citizenship exam.
The border with the U.S. and Canada is actually the longest border in the world. It's actually 8,891 kilometers long, or for our American friends, 5,525 miles long. 70% of the citizens actually live within 100 kilometers of the U.S. border. Mm-hmm. Now, remember you were having that thing there, you said within 10 kilometers? You were off just by a digit. Yeah. That's okay. Fair enough. Easy mistake. If you were wondering about the composition of Canadians, 74.3% of us are of European descent. 14.5% are Asian. 5.1% are indigenous, or First Nations. 3.4% are Latin. And 2.9% are from African descent.
I'm pretty sure we're actually on track to be one of the first countries to switch to have our immigrant population overtake our white population.
Not according to this. Since we're still well, it depends what you go by immigrant, right? I mean, if you say 74.3% European descent.
Yeah,
that includes first generation, second generation, new immigrants as well.
I'm just looking. What I'm saying is like projecting into the future.
Oh yeah, maybe
with our immigration actually like increasing.
Isn't it the U.S.? Aren't they predicting that it's 2040 that Latins and
African
non-whites are going to dominate? Is it 2040?
I have no idea.
So I don't know.
It's pretty close.
I don't know whether we're on the same track for about that time.
I think if you ask a Trump supporter, he would say it's already happened.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. If you were wondering about the religions in this country, since we are part of an atheist show, 67.2% of us are Christians.
Or they say they are.
Or say, well, different denomination of Christians and stuff like that. 23.9 or 24% of us are non-religious. So the second biggest denomination. 3.2% are from Islam or Muslim. 1.5% are Hindu. And 1.4% are Sikh.
There are more Muslims than Hindus in the country. Yes. I didn't know that. I thought it would be.
I think the vast majority of them go to Ontario. You don't see them here in BC, but I think Ontario's got a
I know that. But
1.1% are Buddhist, and 1.0% are Jew. Who would have thought?
I think in the United States it's 10% Jewish, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know any of the others.
Yeah, I think it's like 16% are African American. Oh, well, sorry, that's not even a religion.
Yeah.
Never mind. Scrap that. Unlike the Americans, we're not a secular republic as per se. Canada is actually a federal parliamentary constitutional monarchy.
Wow, that takes in a lot of...
that takes a big word. So it essentially means that the Queen is actually the head of state, and she has a representative here called the Governor General, and he or she actually signs on behalf of the Queen laws to make him official. It's a bit like Ronald McDonald, you know. It's
an mostly honorary role.
Exactly. I mean, the Prime Minister and the Parliament still makes the laws. They just make it super official by putting the Queen's signature on it, if you wish.
And she's still on our coins.
She's still on the currency. That's right. The GDP of Canada stands at $1.930 trillion at this point, which gives about a $51,546 per capita, per person. The country is actually officially bilingual, French and English, in case you didn't know that. The national sport. What's the national sport?
Curling.
No.
Lacrosse.
It is lacrosse. It's not hockey, compared to what most people would think.
Really? It's lacrosse?
It's lacrosse. That's right. And also, it is the 10th largest economy in the world.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So these are fun facts. Let's see. And I'm going to pepper some more interesting weird facts here. You guys are going to love this, because I've got like almost 50 weird facts.
50?
Yeah, weird facts about Canada. I'm not going to give you all 50 right now. So let's put a bit of music. Okay. Kim Campbell was a prime minister, and she was the only female prime minister we ever had. She was only in power for 134 days. Very short tenure.
Yeah.
There's a town in Newfoundland called Dildo.
Yeah.
It's not for the sex toy, but apparently it's a fishing boat tool. What's funny about that, though, is the towns around Dildo are called Spread Eagle, Conception Bay, Broad Cove, and Pussy Gully. And this is actually true.
If you lived in Dildo and you were the mayor, would you want to change your name, or would you think it's so unusual and funny that it brings tourists there just so they can...
I'd be loved to be known as the mayor of Dildo.
I would embrace it. Wholeheartedly embrace it.
I think they probably all do. Did you guys know that Canadians are the biggest eaters of craft dinner food worldwide?
No, I thought it would be the Americans.
No, it's Canadian.
It's a Canadian thing. Canada, the name Canada comes from the Iroquois Kanata, which actually means village. We said already Canada is the second biggest country in the world. We said that. There are 6 time zones in Canada.
And some of them are on the half hour.
Yes, there's one in Newfoundland that's only a half hour ahead, actually. There is 202,080 kilometers coastline for the country.
Don't we have like one of the longest coastlines?
Yeah, because we're actually surrounded by all three sides by water, except down south in the States. The furthest northern town is called Alert, and only 62 people live there. And there's an average temperature of minus 40.
Oh.
You'll wonder why. 62 people live there.
We talked already about the longest border with the U.S., which is 8,891 kilometers long, or we said in miles was 5,525 miles. The capital of Canada is Ottawa, of course. The population is 934,000 people, and it's the fifth largest city in the country.
Would you repeat the capital of Canada? Because most Americans think it's Toronto.
No, it's not Toronto. Toronto would be...
the New York of Canada.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a good way of putting it. Well, speaking of Toronto, if you're thinking of Toronto, it used to actually be called York.
Yeah.
And the population right now stands at 2,731,531 people, approximately.
Yeah, but we need to educate people that it's Ottawa.
Mm-hmm. Ottawa is the capital, not Toronto.
It's a capital, right?
Canada is officially bilingual. We said that already. 60% of us are English. 20 or 25% of us are French.
And there's the big joke that goes in Canada: people speak in English and mumble in French.
Well, I kind of mumble in both, actually. The First Nations, which of course includes the Inuits and the Métis, have apparently 60 different languages in this country.
Wow.
Yeah. Speaking of them, there's 634 different recognized First Nation communities in Canada. That's interesting. The territory of Nunavut was created in 1999 and accounts for 1/5 of the land area, and is 210 times bigger than the province of Prince Edward Island. So, if it was a country, it would be 15th largest country in the world.
Oh. Wow.
So that's pretty interesting. Did you guys know that Superman is actually part Canadian?
Yes.
He was created by Canadian Joel Shuster and American Jerry Siegel. It was a collaboration with the two countries, I guess. Ottawa is actually the second coldest capital in the world.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yes, the coldest capital is actually a place called, I'm probably going to massacre this, I think it's called Ulaanbaatar. It's in Mongolia.
Oh.
So it's not even Russian, it's in Mongolia.
What about Scandinavian countries? I thought these would have colder capitals.
Oh, they may be further up north, but because of the temperature, I mean, Mongolia is very desert-like. It probably drops, probably drops really, really cold there. Montreal, the city of Montreal, is the second largest French city after Paris.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Do you guys know that Canada has 20% of the world's fresh water supply?
Yes.
Yep.
A lot of water. The Trans-Canada Highway is the longest highway in the world and spans 7,604 kilometers, or for our American friends, 4,725 miles. And that's a highway. Canada has 1/10 of the world forest.
Huh.
Yeah. There's a beach in Simcoe, Ontario called Wasaga Beach. It has the longest freshwater beach. It's actually the longest freshwater beach in the world.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Canada has the fourth lowest population density. We only have 3. If we were to spread all Canadians across the country, we'd have 3 people per square kilometer.
Wow.
Yes. The coldest temperature ever reached in Canada registered was minus 63 degrees. For American friends, that'd be minus 81.4 degrees in 1957 in Yukon.
Gross.
Yes. Did you guys know that dog food is actually tax deductible in Canada?
I'm sorry, what?
What?
Dog food is tax deductible.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
No.
Now you know. Apparently it's true.
What about cat foods?
No, not cats. I guess we're a dog country.
That's because dogs are your dependent, cats are your roommates.
The life expectancy of Canadians is 81.16 years. It's number 6 in the world. And the baseball glove was also invented in Canada in 1883. So before I move on with more fun facts, let's do our usual segment that we love. Oh, no, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to keep that one for the end. All right, let's do another brilliant moment. You want to do that, dear?
I certainly do.
Where's the music? Oh, there. Let's use this one.
So, the Colombian seaport city of Buenaventura has a wickedness problem, but Catholic Bishop Monsignor Ruben Dario Yaramilo Montoya,
Ooh, that's a mouthful.
that was a mouthful, believes that he has a way of solving it. Montoya claims that the entire city is being plagued by demons and is planning to use a helicopter to spray holy water all over Buenaventura.
Why didn't we think of that first?
He's going to use a helicopter to spray holy water all over the city?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
Mission Destroy the Demons is due to take place on July 14th when a helicopter borrowed from the Navy will be used to drench the devil's spawn with holy water.
The Navy agreed to this? The Navy agreed to this?
Apparently.
Oh, God. What are they going to do? Yeah, you use a water bomber next?
It might be a good day to have umbrellas at the ready.
Where is this? What city is this?
This is in Colombia.
Oh, well, they can borrow from the... It's okay. They're all drug runners. It doesn't make any difference.
Well, that is
That was a Nancy, not necessarily those.
Well, to be fair, that is kind of one of like the main problems that they have.
Yeah. So well, maybe there's a fire that day and it just turns out they're bullets.
No, I meant that there's helicopters that the Navy uses to catch the drug runners.
Yeah, of course.
I wasn't
right.
casting dispersion.
The bishop said, "We want to go around the whole of Buenaventura from the air and pour holy water onto it to see if we exorcise all those demons that are destroying our port. In Buenaventura, we have to get rid of the devil to see if we can return the tranquility that the city has lost with so many crimes, acts of corruption, so much evil and drug trafficking. It will be a great public demonstration for the entire community where we will pour holy water to see if so many bad things and the devil goes out of here."
Holy whirly bird, Batman.
Right?
Oh, I love this. I love this. They're using modern technology now.
Yeah.
Next, they'll have the fire truck. Just use the hose and blast everybody with the fire.
Yeah. You know, when you think of it, a helicopter's a bad idea because, like, if you, depending on how high up you are, it'll, like, just disperse and it won't get where
just
you
like
need
rain.
it.
Well, you might need a certain dosage. So you
Could be.
If I were you, you'd bring your holy funnel so you can catch as much holy water as possible.
What you need is some super soakers.
No, I like it. It's effective. Yeah.
Widespread.
Oh,
That's
God.
right. That's right.
Is that it? That's what you got?
That is it. Keeping it short and sweet today.
How many gallons did they determine would actually disperse or eliminate the demons? Do they have it down to a per gallon or per quart?
Yeah, gallons per demon. Gallons per demon equation.
That reminds me of when remember when you had Christensen, and you had that line where you said, you know, he can hold his breath underwater for 1 minute, 2 minutes if it's holy water. That was awesome.
I would just like to be there, and as soon as it happens, like, be aware of it, and then be like, "I'm burning! I'm melting!
That'd be so awesome. Or you get one of these, you can put yourself in a pool of water, you get one of those fizzy bath bomb
The
things.
black ones?
The black ones. As soon as it spreads, it's just bubble, that black crude. I would so do that. All right. Moving on with some other fun Canadian facts for you guys. Do you guys know that Canada has a literacy rate of 99%?
That's awesome.
The highest in the world.
That's the highest in the world?
Mm-hmm. So
I think Japan has almost 100%.
Yeah. Canada's up there. You know, Finland also has 99 or 100%. You know, these three are basically vying for first place. The motto of Canada is Amari Usque Admar, which is Latin for from one sea to the next, right? Mm-hmm. One sea, yeah, exactly. Quebec Quebec City is the only walled city north of Mexico, and is actually the first UNESCO World Heritage Site in North America. My hometown. There is 200 species of mammals in Canada, and 630 bird species as well.
Well, as I like to put it, we don't have the venomous creatures or the poisonous creatures. We have the brute force creatures.
That's right, the brute force creatures. There is apparently 11 subspecies of Canada geese. I had no idea.
And I bet they're all bitchy.
They're all mean. They're all mean for sure. Did you know you can swim with belugas in Churchill, Manitoba?
Really?
Yeah. Well, you have to watch for polar bears too, but you can actually go swim with the belugas, apparently. That's pretty cool. The Hudson Bay Company is actually the oldest corporation in North America. Mm-hmm. It was incorporated in 1670. So the first company, official company, I guess you could say, on the North American continent was actually a Canadian company.
Yeah, and the guy who started it, who is French, whose name I can't remember, has a fascinating history. And there's a new book about him. I can't. Wish I could check. But if anybody wants to look up Hudson Bay, look up who founded that country, and he actually came from France but was adopted by the either by the Cherokee or the Algonquin and became part of the indigenous culture. Yeah.
Did you know that Canada has the world's smallest jail? It's only 270 square feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Where is that?
It doesn't say. I couldn't find out.
And when the policeman puts the poor guy in there, he says, "I'm so sorry."
Yes. The heaviest rainfall that we ever had in the country, what happened on May 30th in 1961 in Saskatchewan, 10 inches of rain fell. Ooh. That's a lot of water. That's a lot of water.
Hello, flood.
Did you know that Canada is the largest producer of uranium in the world?
Really?
I didn't know that.
I had no idea. It's also the largest source of cesium. It's a rare element. I'm not sure what cesium does, though. I didn't have a chance to look it up. So, did you know that the U.S. buys more oil from Canada than any other country?
Yeah, I knew that.
Mm-hmm. Most Canadians, 32% of Canadians rate themselves as very happy, and 55% of us rate ourselves as quite happy. So, for the most part, we're happy people. Mm-hmm. The Canadian flag, with the maple leaf, is the only invented in, actually only came to be the official flag in 1965, which is almost 100 years after the foundation of the country.
Mm-hmm. What was it like before?
They had, it was part Union Jack, and it was like a small Union Jack in the corner, and I think most of it was red or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was, they went through a little couple over there. The stereotype A, it's like Canadian A, is actually in the Canadian Oxford Dictionary. It's an actual word.
It certainly is.
What's the definition of it?
It's just an expression, I guess. I mean, I guess, whatever. HOHOHO is the official Santa Claus postal code.
Yeah.
It's actually quite true. Quebec, the province of Quebec, makes 77% of the world's maple syrup.
We've talked about that.
We talked about that a couple of shows ago, yeah. Canada was invaded twice by the U.S. In 1775 and in 1812. You guys didn't know. Did you guys know that Hawaiian pizza is a Canadian invention?
No.
Yeah.
The guy who invented that, I think, died like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was the U.S.
Did you know that apparently peanut butter is also a Canadian invention?
Oh,
It is.
that is a known, yeah.
Yep.
Peanut butter is a
Wasn't
Canadian
there a time,
gift.
wasn't there a time in 1812 that the Americans wanted to build a fort?
Oh, keep that for later.
Okay,
I've got that for later.
Okay.
We talked about Churchill in Manitoba, where they have a lot of polar bears. Well, if you live in Churchill, Manitoba, you never lock your car doors. Everybody leaves their car doors unlocked.
Yep.
In case Joe is walking along and a polar bear shows up, he jumps in a car.
Ooh.
No matter whose cars it is. Right? As protection.
Yeah, that's a nice social collaboration.
In case, yeah, exactly. That's pretty cool, actually. Get to the end there. In 1943, I love this little story. Canada designated a hospital room as extraterritorial ground, so a Dutch princess could be born full Dutch. Because I guess the princess was pregnant and she was about to give birth. But if she gives birth in Canada,
she becomes Canadian.
And part of the royal Dutch family, you have to be full Dutch. So the government designated that room to be Dutch territory for a moment, so the princess could be born full Dutch and thus keep her heritage.
Is that the most accommodating, nice thing one country can do for another?
Is that the most Canadian thing to do right there?
Is.
It's like, my God.
I know.
It's one of the reasons why the Dutch love us so much, too.
Yeah.
Did you know that random employee drug tests in Canada, the random drug tests, are actually illegal? They cannot randomly just say, hey, Bob, here's a drug test. They can't actually do that.
I know that because I do HR, yeah, I know.
Yeah. there's a part of Hudson Bay, I mean, not the company, but the Hudson Bay itself, that actually has less gravity than the rest of the Earth. That's a fascinating thing. I'd love to look deeper into that. Canada is also the most educated country in the world. A lot of our citizens have actually gone on to superior college and university learning. Canadian tap water is often better quality than bottled water.
Well, actually, parts of Abbotsford have in a little place called Clearbrook. The Clearbrook water has won, I don't know how many years running of the best water in the world. So we have the title of having the best water in the world right here in Abbotsford.
Wow.
I've always wondered here, why is the bottled water being sold here so, why is it so common?
Yeah, it's so pointless, right?
Buying it?
It's so pointless to have bottled water here. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Did you guys know there's actually a prison for polar bears?
What?
It's going to be in Churchill, Manitoba, of course. It's for bad bears that break into people's home and they're sent to prison. Bear prison. Oh, that would be so funny.
Sad.
You just sit in there, Yogi, and think about what you did. Did you know that Canada has a strategic maple syrup reserve?
Yes.
No.
There's a maple syrup reserve. Oh, God. That's so funny. Did you know that the University of Victoria, not far from here, actually offers a course called The Science of Batman?
No.
They actually do.
What is that?
I guess it just, if you want to become a vigilante, a mass vigilante, they go through the science of what it would take to actually be Batman.
How's that a science?
That sounds like a lovely summer vacation.
Oh, God.
Come and take that class. And,
build your own grappling hook and your batarangs, I guess. I don't know.
That'd be a fun thing to do.
And last, but certainly not least, there's a town in BC with the postal code V4G 1 and 4, and if you look at it, the way it's spelled, it spells vagina. And believe it or not, that town is Delta, right here.
Oh,
Which is 2 towns behind.
For our American listeners, postal code is the same as zip code.
Yes, that's right. It's a version of the zip code. Oh, God.
Oh, whenever we have a truck going to pick something up in Delta now, it's never going to be the same. I'm like, okay, so you're going to vagina.
That's just too awesome. Oh, God. Oh, where's that music? All right. Okay, Ahmed, my friend.
Hello.
I want to bring you to the show today because you, sir, you were born in Egypt, and for a good part of your life, you lived in Saudi Arabia.
I lived for most part of my life. I lived in Egypt. Until I graduated from college.
But you did work in Saudi Arabia for several years.
And then, yes, after university, I worked in Saudi Arabia for 8 to 9 years.
8 or 9 years.
And then I came here. Yes.
Yeah, and then you became a Canadian citizen.
Yeah, after 4 years.
But
yes.
Since we're doing a whole Canada Day thing, I kind of wanted you to kind of give us your story as to what it was like to be an immigrant, I guess, and become a Canadian, and how does that? What does that mean to you? How does it feel? You glad? You think you wish you could go back? I don't know. You tell me, man.
No, I don't regret it for a second. It's quite interesting. Especially that I lived in Saudi Arabia before coming here. It would have been a different experience if I came here from Egypt directly, because Saudi Arabia is almost like the total opposite of Canada.
Saudi Arabia is the total opposite of Canada.
Almost like in weather, social life.
Really?
Give
me a few examples.
State of law, like weather, that pretty obvious.
Weather, that's obvious.
It's desert and it's hot and it's humid. It's like it's in summer it's like a small piece of hell. Everywhere it's air conditioned. And here it's cold, like other than Vancouver, like BC is the warmest province in Canada, but most of Canada is pretty cold, freezing cold. Here it's green, over there it's yellow sand. So whether no need to talk, it's obvious how it's the exact opposite.
You miss it once in a while. Once in a while you want to do a trip back there just for fun, for a vacation?
Not yet.
No, okay.
I haven't missed it yet. No. But I have I met some friends there.
Of course.
I miss them. Yeah, of course. Some of them are not even there anymore. But I miss the friends that I made there.
Mm-hmm.
We're still in touch, of course.
Should bring them up.
Social life, and so social life also is very different. There, it's a very closed society. There is almost a near complete segregation between men and women.
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it as bad as
the interaction between stranger men and women is to the minimum?
Really?
Yes.
Is it because when we, of course, as North Americans, and I've never been to Saudi Arabia, all I have is like a vague image of what you'll see like in a movie. Right?
Yeah, it's not accurate.
It's not accurate.
Yeah, but there aren't lots of movies that are done about Saudi Arabia, though.
No, but usually it's something about like some kind of American SEAL team doing some kind of counter-terrorist stupid thing over there.
That would not give you any idea about how it is over there. No,
but it gives you like just a brief, about the colors and the shops and the bazaars and stuff like that.
I don't think that's even accurate.
That's not accurate at all.
No, like the cities there are just cities.
They're just cities.
Yes, they're cities with shops in the streets,
cars
everywhere. Like
everywhere.
The cars are almost every person there has a car, and the American cars there are also very very popular, especially big ones like trucks and Ford, like the Ford Crown Victoria, which is a large car. This is normally used as a police car here in North America.
Well, used to anyway.
Used to be, and it's a large car. It's a big car.
Yeah.
This is one of I think it's the most famous common used car in Saudi Arabia, and because oil there is cheap. So this car has a big tank, and they don't care. Like I remember the oil price when I was there. It was like 0.25, like a quarter of of Saudi currency.
Oh wow!
Like it's like 25 cents, and they call it halala over there. So
and they're metric, so they'll go.
And that's literally cheaper than water.
Wow.
Yeah. Like if you want to refill your water, your drinking water gallon, you're gonna pay more per liter than for gas.
Damn.
Well, yeah.
Well,
but that used to be.
It sounds horrible at first, but when you think about it, buy a liter of bottled water, it's still going to cost you more than a liter of gas.
Especially that they don't have fresh water there in Saudi Arabia, so there isn't any fresh water. They have to sell. Yeah, they have to. They use seawater. And they filter it. And,
really? Desalination?
They desalinate the water, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why it's costly.
Fair enough.
And that's very energy intensive too, right? A lot of people say, well, we just desalinate a lot of seawater. That's very energy intensive, the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems with it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then, so social life is very different. So people, as I said, the society there is almost completely segregated. And then also these Saudis, many of them are nice people and some of them are my friends, but they don't, many of them, they don't integrate easily with strangers. Well, not strangers, I mean like foreigners who live and work there. So there are these ghettos of communities, like the Saudis are one culture, one society, and then you have the Egyptians and the Sudanese and the Indians and the Pakistanis, and it's very, very identity-based, closed societies. And then some of these societies interact with each other, like different Arab societies, like Egyptians and Syrians. They would more likely be friends than an Egyptian with a Pakistani, for example. So it's like closed societies.
Wow.
And so life there is very different than here. Here it's kind of like a melted pot.
Yes, absolutely. And, I got to touch it. Of course, this is the influence of the segregation between the sexes. It's Islam, obviously.
It's a religious thing. Well,
it's
not. Well, it's not just Islam. It's their specific version of it as well.
Of course.
The Wahhabism or the Salafism or the fundamentalism.
But I'm wondering, is it? This might sound like a stupid question, but like right here, we're interacting male, female. We're just chatting, blah blah blah. But when you have so much segregation, does it feel like? Do people react like you're like a young high schooler that is meeting a girl for the first time? They're all shy.
Well, that's the thing is that behind
awkward.
Closed doors, things are very, very different.
Okay.
And that was one of the main things that really turned me off. The level of hypocrisy. So the public appearance, the public life in the street is very different from what happens behind closed doors. And people are naturally inclined to interact with each other,
of course,
and sexually interact with each other. So Saudi young men and women they always try to. They find a way. There's always a way. So
of course.
they get to know each other. They interact with each other, and they meet secretly, of course, and. Lots of stories that happens because of that.
Look at you, Playboy.
Yeah, no, not mine. No,
sure.
No, I didn't know. I was kind of religious when I was there, so I was still like half conservative.
Yeah.
No, so I didn't engage in any of that. But I knew, I saw it, I knew it, but the whole so. Living there is kind of you don't get to do a lot, and it's not just about the segregation between men and women. In the public life there are many things that you're not allowed to do. Even like here, you know what the hookah is.
Yeah,
hookah
of course.
Is like
The smoking thing.
So one of these things you can't smoke that publicly. For example, they have two police there. They have the regular police and then they have the religious police.
Yes.
Matawa, they call them. And the religious police, their role is to ensure that all the religious rules are followed publicly. That no woman is walking with the inappropriate clothing, or no men are like sitting in a park and smoking some hookah or something like that, or playing music loud, because that music was also frowned upon in their religious version. So it's pretty dull. It's pretty boring.
Wow.
And you don't have any sense of freedom at all. And then politically, of course, there is no. As a foreigner working there, you can never be a citizen. You'll always be just living there under a working permit or working visa, and you always constantly know and aware of that you are just a second degree individual.
Wow.
You don't have the same rights as Saudis. You never will, and you are not allowed to speak about or criticize any of their political royal family members or anything like that. Actually, even Saudis have hard time doing that. It's a police state. It's to a degree. The intelligence there have a big role. There are eyes kind of everywhere, but it's not compared to old USSR, for example. It's not to that degree, but it's still there strongly. So criticism would be anybody, even Saudis who would like to criticize the royal family or the policy, they would have to be really cautious about who they speak to, and they won't do that in front of people they don't know.
Wow.
So that all adds up to all this sense of like there's no freedom, you don't really have lots of rights.
So quick question, just at the left there. For example, let's say you and your wife were there, and she was pregnant, and she gave birth.
Yes.
Would the child become a Saudi citizen?
No, never.
No, never.
No.
So besides, unless your family's been there for generations as Saudis,
even if your family has been there for as Saudis, yes, of course, yes. But there are families who have been there for generations. Like I know friends who were born there, and now they have children who are born there, and none of them will ever be a Saudi citizen,
really?
Unless they change the laws, of course.
Wow.
During the last decades, it happened sometimes that during some days of the late King Faisal, King Khalid, sometimes they opened it up. They gave citizenship to different people, and but in specific occasions and under specific circumstances.
Wow.
So some people got citizenship.
Wow.
But these were only these were the exceptions.
I'm interested in when you and your wife came here initially, and you saw the freedom that teenagers had, that the dress code was just about anything you could wear. Women could wear anything, expose any parts of their body, and the relationships between men and women at work as well. How did that affect the way you looked at each other in terms of your relationship, as contrasted to how Canadians conduct relationships?
Yeah, it was not a total surprise. We knew how things are here because both me and my wife, first, we spend most of our lives in Egypt, and in Egypt there is no real segregation between women and women like that. But of course, it's a different culture as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot more conservative than here, but still, we interact with each other on a daily basis in streets, in workplaces, more conservatively. but still. And then we are very much aware of the Western culture through friends, through even movies, and
Ahmed was already cross-dressing by
and
Have you adopted a more Canadian culture, or are there still parts of Saudi Arabia that are within your household?
No, we never had any part of the Saudi culture in our household to start with. Me and my wife never really liked it. We were never really into it, but we have become a little bit more liberal here. We were kind of halfway liberal, halfway conservative before when we were in Egypt, because we were kind of more religious. We are much less religious here, but that's our personal experience, because many people that's totally personal.
Of course,
there are many people here that come and they still remain. They keep their
the old habits of the
ideology,
old country.
Yes, and they still live the same life inside their houses. Yes, so we have changed, and that's one of the things that would. I was thinking about when you told me I'm going to talk about what does it mean to be Canadian, and this is one of the things that I came up to. That this is one of the things that identifies being a Canadian for me, because I was thinking about what does it really mean for me to be a Canadian or to belong here. And one of the main things is that we have the ability here to freely express our ideas and ideologies and live the way we want openly, if we want to do that, without really caring much about what society is going to say or how the reaction is going to be. And that is something that is not really available in every other country. It's definitely that's not the way it is in Egypt. I have many friends who have changed their ideologies, but they still cannot change the way they live. Because of their families, because of the society won't accept it. Some of them, even inside their own homes, a man or a woman can change their religious belief or ideology, and they still can't even. Sometimes they can even tell their other partner.
Exactly right.
Sometimes, and sometimes they can, but they still have to pretend in front of everybody else, in front of relatives and friends, and
you're quote unquote living in the closet still.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Exactly. So, and that's one main thing here, that I don't have to do that. I don't have to pretend to be anything else that I'm not. I don't have to keep. I don't have to pretend. Which is, I think that's the most important thing for me.
So what prompted you? Was it just a business opportunity? You have to actually move to Canada?
No. I just didn't like. I knew I wasn't gonna live in Saudi Arabia for long. I didn't like it there. My wife didn't like it there. It was very hard for us to move back to Egypt. The economic situation there is not the best, and not just economic, but it's. There are many things that could go wrong there. I didn't like the social life as well. So I wanted to live. I wanted to move. I've always had that kind of liberal orientation mentality. I wanted to go, even though I was still religious, but I wanted to go to a place where I can be more liberal to do whatever I want.
So you basically look at your wife and say, honey, let's go this joint.
Yeah, I wanted a better life, a better education, a better health, a better life overall for my children as well. Which we didn't have that. We didn't have any at the time, but we were going to. So we decided we have to move somewhere.
Well, this is a personal question, so if you don't want to answer, I understand. But when you, as open-minded as you are, and not being happy with the culture, not being happy with the day-to-day life, and you met your wife, was it difficult for the two of you to start talking about the things that you didn't like, and to discover that you both had a desire for living someplace else, or did that kind of evolve between the two of you?
My wife, we didn't meet in Saudi Arabia. She was in Egypt. We actually met online. Like, we became friends online.
Oh, nice.
And then we met when I went on vacation, and then we got engaged. And I have actually applied to immigration before that.
I think I saw your profile on Tinder.
Who's dumb enough to to impersonate me.
You're not there as much anymore. I know that.
So did you meet online through a matchmaker situation?
Yeah, actually, it was an Arabic version of
Really?
Tinder. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was just joking.
Yes,
Yeah, and then you began to speak honestly to each other.
Yeah, and our minds were alike, and so even when we were both like religious, but we always had that mentality that I don't care what other people do, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah. So you were engaged before you met?
Yes, and I have applied for immigration to Canada when I was single. So when we met, so I told her that I'm not. Actually, I think that may have helped because I don't think she would have agreed to living in Saudi Arabia for a long time.
So she saw you as the ticket to get out of here. Like, hey.
No, she actually liked it in Egypt. She didn't really want to leave Egypt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she liked it there. She had a good career. She had good friends. And in Egypt, if you have a good job and you're getting paid enough money, and
what does she do if you don't mind me asking?
She was a government employee.
Okay.
Yes, she was in the Ministry of Urban Planning.
Oh,
and
nice.
She was part of the urban planning team. She specialized in tourism.
She's so smart.
Yeah, she is.
She totally is.
Totally smarter than me. So she
That's why she's not on the show and he is, right?
Yeah, so she knew that I'm not going to stay there forever, and that was part of the deal. I'm not going to stay there forever.
So did you plan to immigrate before you met?
Yes, I planned for immigration before we met. Yeah.
Did your wife go along with it, and you hadn't?
She went along with it.
Physically been in the same room together yet?
Yes. Yeah, I told her I'm filing for immigration to Canada, and she said, "Well, I can do that."
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So when did you finally end up in the same room to see who your spouse was going to be?
No, we met outside. So when I went on vacation, and we just met, we just went for we went on a date, basically.
What the hell is? Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Phone.
I turned that off, but this is vibrating.
So I'm really curious because when you decided that you wanted to immigrate to a more liberal-leaning place, how did you decide on Canada? Because
yes, that was my
there's
question.
a lot of other countries, especially like the States and
the States. There's no regular way to apply for immigration to the States.
Really,
the States immigration is based on a lottery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why that's one of the things that Trump wants to do. This might be one of the very few things that I agree with Trump on. This lottery system is stupid. It really is. So let's say you want to immigrate to you're Egyptian or whatever, and you want to immigrate to the States. You have to participate in the lottery, and then if you win, all you're winning is a chance to apply.
Oh,
wow!
Yes.
Well, it's very different from the Powerball.
Yes. So if you win, then you can submit your immigration application.
Yeah.
For every other country in the world that has an immigration system, you just apply for immigration.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, what benefit would you bring to our society?
Yes, or first you have to find out if you qualify.
Yeah.
So for Canada or Australia or Europe, you have to check the qualification lists, and if you fulfill them, then you can apply. In the States, no, you have to win the lottery to apply.
That's so convoluted.
Yes, it is a stupid system, and I agree with him 100% on this. It has to change.
In a way, it's almost brilliant in a way because it gives you the if you win the lottery, it gives you this idea that you've got this amazing opportunity that just happened to fall on your lap that you might become a citizen of the U.S. Right?
Yes, but also it prevents many people who are qualified to immigrate and would like to immigrate from even applying.
Yeah.
So that's why the most common way for people to immigrate to the States is that they just obtain a visit visa, they go there, and they stay there.
Yeah, they stay there.
And they become illegals.
They fly there, and they just never go back.
The system, most of these people would have applied if the States had a normal immigration system like Canada or any other country.
That's a huge point there, and I hope our American listeners are listening to this because it's a huge point. Because right now they have this huge fight in the States because of that, right? There's at least a third of the Americans right now, a quarter, a third, that are like Donald Trump supporters, and they just say, "Oh, immigrants are anything but a problem."
Yeah. Well,
and illegal immigrants are a problem. But
stupid.
that's your system that's
But
creating the problem.
I think it's different in different countries to apply to the U.S. And
I think they have.
Trump doesn't like the system. He'd like to make it worse. He's
not going to make it even if you get rid of that lottery system, Trump wants to make the qualifications bar so high that he only wants either like nuclear physicists or supermodels like his wife.
Right, he wants the merit system where you already speak English, and we don't have to pay your way through university.
Yes, he wants the top tier. He wants the top tier candidates, whether they have academic qualifications or just like personal qualifications, like they're super hot. And so he's not really after making it a fair system for all. But getting rid of the lottery is essential, and I think you're right. They have different. This lottery doesn't have the same rules for all the countries. They have quotas, like the middle, like Egypt would have quota how many people would win. Other countries would have different quotas, and I think they may have different system for other European countries.
So how long did it take you to be accepted and apply to Canada?
Between my first application till I received the visa, I think it was about 2.5 years.
That's pretty decent.
I think now it's much faster. They've changed the system so much since then. It's a totally different system now. Yes.
What I wonder though is like 2.5 years. I mean, I've never had to do this, so forgive my ignorance. But 2.5 years, your life can change drastically in 2.5 years.
Well, yeah. If you change your mind, you don't have to go.
No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, for example, you're an accountant.
Yes.
Right. You're an educated man, and you had a job there in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But what if all of a sudden, a year and a half through that, you got into an accident and you became quadriplegic, or you lost your job or something? That's going to affect your application hugely at that point.
Well, I don't think it would. Well, health status, yes, it would affect it, because the health exam is one of the very last steps you take. But when you apply, the qualifications you're required to have is the level of education you've got. That's not going to change. If you already have like a university degree, you already have that. If, for example, during the application you've acquired a master's degree or a PhD, then actually that's going to even improve your status. But if your original status was already enough to apply, then you don't really have to tell them. You're already in. You've acquired the points.
Yeah, exactly.
So but if you lose your job, I don't think that's going to affect anything at all. When you apply, you already answer the question of about how many years of professional work experience do you have. So if you already have that, you already have it. Except for getting into an accident and being paralyzed. I don't know how that would affect it. At the very end of the process, after they've accepted you, the last step, they tell you have to go for a medical exam, and you go have some tests, and then I don't know what they do with that. Like, I don't know how. I don't know if they would reject somebody based on some pre-existing conditions. I'm not an immigration lawyer. I don't know that.
Is this where you developed your fear of rubber gloves?
What?
So I'm really curious.
There is no rectal examination.
So I think there are some restrictions in terms of health, so that Canada doesn't have to pay for somebody that they already know is
going to have a huge
disability.
Bill. Yes, I think so. There must be some condition that they won't accept. But I don't know what these are.
So unless you get somebody like you're quadriplegic, but you're Stephen Hawking. I guess that kind of overrides, your medical condition.
Yeah, and I know these rules have changed since then, so I don't know what these rules are now, what they would accept, what not.
So you were talking about how when you were living in Saudi Arabia, there were the different communities were very segregated, but Canada were very much integrated. How have you found being an immigrant in the Canadian community?
It was a challenge at first. Actually, it still is, and of course, it's different from one person to another. So I can only talk about my personal experience. It depends on where you're originally from, and how far or how different your original culture and language is from the Canadian one. So the closer, for example, if you're immigrated from England, it would be much easier for you to integrate here. The same language, it's the same kind of thinking. So if you're coming from a very, very different society, it's gonna take you a while to make new friends, to kind of get used to the office work rules and street etiquette and stuff like that. It takes you a while, but what really takes a longer time is to build all these new connections. and you're coming from your homeland, and you have all these connections that you've built since you were a child.
Yeah,
all these friendship, all the relatives, and it depends on whether you have family here or not. If you have, or if some people immigrate here and they already have family members, or they have other friends, that makes it really easier for them. They start to introduce them to other people. They already have some personal relations that they can start from and build the base from there. But if for me and my wife, it was very different. We came here and we knew absolutely nobody. I have an aunt in Montreal, but we were not going to live there.
Yeah. No, yeah.
And so when we came here, I knew absolutely nobody, and that was a challenge. You don't, and you realize that at this age, when you're in the 30s, it's not as easy anymore to start new connections from scratch.
Yeah.
You can make, and this is the thing, you can make shallow friendships really easy here.
Why are you looking at me when you say that? I'm the guy your mother warned you about, aren't I? Yes. You're going to end up on some kind of weird podcast one day, son, if you don't watch out.
Yeah.
That's a difference, because as an immigrant coming from the U.S., and when my husband and I came, we had some family, and we have such similar cultures that it was very easy to integrate.
Yeah,
because
it's not that different.
Yeah, we come from the same points of view in terms of who we are and the relationships.
And it's not just that; it's the very common things that people do. For example, many people would consider that so you're now a Canadian, then you have to do the things that Canadians do. You have to be a hockey fan. Oh, you have to say sorry. I already had that. So for example, the hockey, for example, or like you have to be into one of these sports. Well, I'm not.
Don't worry.
So what does that mean? That I'm not Canadian enough? But then I found out, well, actually, no, not all Canadians are hockey fans.
Nope.
I'm not into hockey at all. No. Are you still gonna?
I'm not into hockey either.
I'm gonna mute
Me neither.
Kevin, we're not into hockey either.'re gonna have to mute a lot of people.
All of your mics. I'm sorry. All of you guys are muted now. That's it. Well, that was a great show, guys. Thank you.
So now that was the thing. Like I felt in the beginning, in the first few years, this is how I felt that what being Canadian is. That I have to be involved in these things. I have to go hiking. I have to go canoeing or kayaking, or I have to go fishing, or I have to go camping. Yeah. And originally I didn't like really any of these. Some of them I haven't tried before. And I felt that maybe that doesn't mean I'm never going to be Canadian enough.
I gotta ask.
I'm not going to be as much as not going to belong as a part of the group.
Is it like you thought you would never be seen as like a valid part of the community?
Something like that, or when I get in a group, or if I'm in a group of new friends, I don't have anything to put in. Like I haven't shared that. I don't share any of these interests.
Well, that's when you buy the first round of coffee. That's how you get it.
Yeah, that's what I found out. just some Timmies. That's
the first round of drink or something like that. I gotta ask you, as a man who came from a very different culture, obviously, what was the one Canadian thing you really had to struggle with? You mentioned camping.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Okay.
The first time I went to a public pool, and I went to the change room, and all the men there are naked.
Oh, yeah.
I was shocked.
It's the same with the females.
It is.
It's like,
so I went out, and my wife was coming out. My wife was coming out of the women's change room, and we both said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Don't feel too bad. We had those same reactions. Like, did I just see that? I didn't need to.
Exactly. So that was the biggest shock I had here.
Well, I could just make it easier. Go into the women's change room. You'll have a shock, but
I will cause a shock, and then all the women are just.
And the likelihood is you won't remember
and heading out. So I enjoy that I still have young children.
Yes, you go to the family.
So we go to the family change room.
Yes,
I was just going to say
family change room
is the best because you have the separate change room.
So I don't want my daughter to grow up.
Because you don't want your daughter to grow up? What?
No. So I can still use her to go into the family change
room.
Yeah. Once she's grown up, once she's 18, then I can't use her anymore.
Yeah. Well, it also depends who's in the change room, right? Because you always get into the change room, you get these very old guys that are very overweight.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't want to see.
They're just flashing their junk in front of you.
I don't.
You never told me that. All the times I've been naked in front of you.
Oh, here you go. New thing. Here you go. Never asked me.
know, Kevin? When will you
I think the
learn?
one thing that actually is the one useful thing about public areas where people can just be naked.
I just want to point out here to our American listeners, she said about, not a boot.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
About.
We don't. Yeah, I've never heard a Canadian say a boot. I don't know where that's coming
Yeah.
from. Maybe some other provinces.
I think it might be
Eastern.
especially when you think about Newfoundlanders.
Yeah,
It's definitely
maybe.
Very
Newfoundland.
Scottish influences.
Maybe.
I could totally see them saying a
Newfies
boot.
have a
But what I was saying is spaces where people are just themselves, for someone who might have body image issues, just seeing people being okay with themselves, even if they're not like the
Look, when I go to the washroom, I just want to have a shower and get out of there.
That is totally valid and fair. I have that exact reaction as well. But I'm just thinking of, for some people, it might actually be an impactful experience in a positive way. But in general, I'd
rather not.
stalls that I can just change it. Like in this high school locker room, they have separate stalls you can change in.
Yeah.
They should have that, but I don't
one
know
does
why
it
they
change
don't.
from stalls to no stalls. You don't need stalls anymore. You can now just look at each other's junk.
It's no,
Yeah.
some people prefer to just get changed in private and not flaunt all their junk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I see we're all in agreement, so if everybody here is in agreement with that this is really uncomfortable, why is this a thing?
Well, everybody
I
except
just
Kevin.
don't go.
I
Shower at home.
I don't find that uncomfortable, personally.
You don't?
No.
Okay. Well,
I-
probably you're used to it.
I can get through it. I haven't been there since I was 18 maybe. So yeah, it's not super uncomfortable. I just don't acknowledge
Well, I've done it a few times already, when I was
Yeah.
So, but it's still I don't look.
It's not
I don't
yay,
wanna look.
let's go.
Yeah, it's not I'm never
Yeah.
comfortable going in there. And then the second thing was in most Eastern countries, when we go to the toilet, there is a water bidet.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I'm so jealous.
Yes, the
You
lack of
should
a
be.
bidet.
Oh,
It should be.
bidets are the literal
And
best
we're
invention.
all of the
Oh,
Eastern
bidets.
country folks. We're wondering about Europe and
We're
North America.
stupid.
Why
We are
is
so
it taking you so
stupid.
long to realize that this is awesome?
I don't
Not just
know.
awesome; it's a life necessity.
Can I tell you what I think it might
like-
be? I think it might be a little bit of racism leaking through in our cultures. Because it's that's like an Eastern thing. We're so much better here. I don't know
It's a
what
hygiene thing.
I know.
Yes.
And I think everyone understands that it's better. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
should really catch up to that.
It's
It
so
should be
stupid.
should be in every
for
toilet
example,
seat.
you go to Japan, the toilet's like an art.
Oh no! In Japan, they've taken it to the next
Yeah.
level.
Artificial
They're robots.
intelligence.
Now, yes, it's like
Well, I'll tell you what's
electric.
really a strange feeling is when you grow up and you have no idea what a bidet is. You've heard about them, you may have seen one, and then you go to a hotel that has one and you don't know how to use the damn thing.
Yes.
It's like,
and
wait a minute.
It's not
wait a
something
minute.
you're going
And
to
you
call the
feel-
operator and please
No.
show me how to use that.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what? You're either going to really come off as stupid, which you are, or you're going to try to figure it out. And even though you're in there by yourself, it's like, oh gosh, if I pull the wrong thing, am I going to have a gusher
so
going up to the ceiling, and now I'm not going to be able to turn it off?
I've got a bit of a say when it comes to when you're experiencing new things. It's how are you supposed to know how to do something if you've never done it before?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I get through it. It's
it'd be kind of weird if they had instructions on how to use
No,
a
I think that
bathroom.
would be wonderful. If you're in a place that has a bidet, I think there ought to be, discreet place.
Something on the wall,
Something
yes.
on the
a
wall.
little pamphlet.
Just
you know,
sit on there and turn it on and enjoy.
and enjoy the ride.
No, I think it would be the best thing to do, and then at least you've got something, you've got an experience, and now you can say, you know what, I've been missing something all my life, but there's no help to understand it.
Especially in a hotel or something.
People are not. This is not a topic of general conversation.
It's not expensive. I've installed ones in every toilet in every house I've lived in. You just buy it for $25, $30 on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's super easy to install, and that's it.
You may have a whole new career if we can open people up to bidets.
Ready for installation. Yes.
I am just shocked that bringing you here today, I did not expect we'd be talking about naked,
toilet bidet,
naked change room, and bidet. I'm not.
Yeah, but Kevin,
I'm not sure how I feel about
Kevin,
any of this.
This is we've been doing this for how many years?
Yeah, fair enough.
This should have been on the top of the list.
Certainly.
Okay, so anyway, let's get back on subject. So now you became a Canadian citizen, and well, fairly recently, you did your whole pledge.
Yeah, that
pledge to the Queen and all that stuff.
I have something to say about that, like the oath of citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard about it, so of course I went in and read it, and instantly I didn't really like it. Because the oath of citizenship is basically an oath of allegiance to the Queen.
Yeah, something that we as Canadians that are born here never actually had to do.
Exactly. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of royalty. No. Not just the British royal family, but in royalty in general.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a Republican guy. And so I had to take it, and now I feel that because I took that oath, now I cannot express my opinions. I cannot engage in any activism or political point of view that would be against royalty.
And especially if it's ones that are like, oh, let's not have a monarchy anymore.
Exactly. So I don't know if that's going to be illegal if I do that, but because I took an oath and I respect, I really feel that words are important. I believe that
it would be semantics, but it could be
even used. I'm personally obligated to fulfill my oth.
That's because when you said your oath, you should have said, "I pledge my allegiance to Dairy Queen." So just say Queen, just Dairy Queen.
It crossed my mind. I just mumble. I can just mumble.
What was that?
But then I said no. That would be really I don't want to do that. So I did say it, and I feel that now I'm bound to it. And in a sense, I feel that this is one item that is where I don't have full freedom of expression.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who was born in Canada, like my daughter, she didn't have to take the oath because she was born here.
Yeah.
And any one of you can freely express that they don't like the royalty and they would like Canada to be out of it.
But ever since I took that oath, I can't bash Dairy Queen, which I would really like to because they have crappy ice cream. I mean, sorry, I can't say that.
Well, I think when I took the oath, I really because I'm a dual citizen, and I think you still have your Saudi citizenship.
No, Egyptian citizen.
You had to give up your Saudi citizenship.
I was never a Saudi citizen. I'm an Egyptian.
Remember you said they can't get Saudi unless.
Yeah, I was just working there.
Oh,
but no, I'm fully
so
Egyptian.
you still have your Egyptian.
Yes, I do.
So I still had my American citizenship, and I thought, oh, this is wonderful, to be able to go back and forth and have that loyalty and have both cultures. And I thought, it's not like I'm going to plan an insurrection against the monarchy, but we have free speech, and I can be like every other Canadian and express my opinion.
But that's what when you say that I swear for to be faithful and have true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. So in my interpretation of what that means, that I cannot even engage in a free speech debate about whether we should be a monarchy or not.
Yeah, so I have a question.
I've sworn that oath of true allegiance to her and her.
Yeah, but she's only got 10 years.
No, not to her and to the family and whoever comes after her. All the predecessors.
I was about to ask. So when she died,
yes, no, it's. I think I'm trying to remember what it says word by word, but I think it's. I swear to be faithful and have true allegiance to her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. And I think it mentions the royal family and her predecessors. So you
predecessors? Wouldn't you mean
sorry,
successors?
Sorry, successors. Yes. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, her heirs and successors.
Her hair.
Her
heirs.
Well, she has a bad hair day. She has a bad hair day. You got to be alone. No, yes, Your Majesty, your hair looks fine. Your hair looks absolutely fine.
Her heirs and successors, and that I will faithfully observe the laws of Canada. That's fine. That's what I was. That's what I expected to.
Yeah, but observe the laws of Canada just means you have a look at them.
Faithfully,
just observing. Yeah, they look like their laws.
Yeah, I did. I've never swore to obey them.
No, you just observe. I'm observing them right now,
and fulfill my duties as a Canadian citizen. So that second part I think that's
the part where you have to eat Timbits.
Yes,
fulfill your Canadian citizens,
exactly,
and play hockey once in a while.
So what about that exactly makes you feel like you can't...
He can't speak up against the monarchy.
I feel like, and I feel like it's creating two types of citizens. Citizens who can actively seek change to the... I don't think it's...
Technically, under the law, you're correct. But let's face it, you really think anybody would actually come to you and say, you've been here long enough?
Well, I don't know. Actually, I'm not aware. Is it? Would it be illegal? Like, let's say there is a group. Let's say that in few years from now there is now a big political movement or a political party that emerges, or an activism that they call. Okay, let's get the royal family out of here, and we should not be a monarchy. We should be a republican or whatever.
I could totally see that happening.
If I officially engage in that, am I legally in break of my citizenship oath? Can the government now come and say no, you can, if you do that, we're going to revoke your citizenship? Can that happen?
You have to become one of the Swiss Guard for the Queen.
I honestly think that they could, if they were trying to. I think on the semantics part, they could.
Yeah, but it would have to be extraordinary conditions.
If they would.
If you turned out to be Dr. Evil or something like that and went to court, then maybe they would pull some kind of card like that. But for the average Joe,
well, no, they won't care. But let's say the head of that group, or let's say the head of that movement, was an immigrant.
Are you trying to recruit people here? Or what are you doing here?
No, not
wink, wink,
nudge, nudge.
I think I don't know. I think that expressing your opinion in a country that's a democracy that has free speech at its core is one thing. But like the United States, if you incite disruption, or if you plan an overthrow, actively plan, and your behavior and your intent is to overthrow, at that point, I think they could probably take some action against you, just the way they could with someone who was born here. But just to express without taking action and to let people know this is my opinion, I think we're okay.
I think you would have to use the reverse psychology.
Because he and I are in the same boat.
In a way, I think you would have to use reverse psychology. You'd have to say, I sure hope nobody overthrows the Queen whose allegiance I support, right?
Yeah.
Then, you've done your duty.
Yeah. I really, it may be interesting to find out what the league, what our standing is in terms of that, because you and I may end up in the same closet cowering, and, not to be hauled out.
And then we'll have to join the secret resistance.
The streets will run brown with maple syrup. So
that's okay. We have a reserve for that.
So I guess we've been going on for a while on this. My God. So I guess let's put an end to this. Ahmed, for people
this isn't the all-day marathon?
No, apparently not. For people that are out there that might be listening to this show by some miracle, if you were to give them a piece of advice about coming to Canada, becoming a citizen, do it or don't do it, what would you say to them?
Of course, do it.
Yeah.
And when
and you're not saying that because I'm holding a gun to your head, right?
Oh no, I didn't.
We're
see
not
that.
in America.
I'm actually watching this. What do you call this? An axe? What is that? This thing here.
His battle axe?
Oh, the battle axe?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was keeping an eye on.
Yeah, no problem.
Is this what you do with if an interview goes bad?
That's to keep Nancy at bay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nancy's a dangerous one on the show.
No, the thing I would like if anybody's listening who's thinking of coming here, one of the most amazing things about Canada, and I don't believe many people think that each country or nation has a specific stereotype characteristics, and that for example Americans are like cowboys, and Canadians are always nice and they always apologize.
Hey, but we are. And I'm joking. My twin sister is
That's
a
loaded
cunt.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Well, she is.
So I don't believe that nations are like that or like. So I don't believe in that point of view. And I think the most amazing thing about Canada is that it truly is not that. It's not homogeneous. It is a melting pot of everybody.
You just call us homos? What?
We don't take offense to that.
I said it's not homogeneous.
Way to be homophobic,
it's
man.
It's not like just one Yeah, it's not just one big group of people who all share similar characteristics. It's very it's
diverse.
It's very diverse, and I think that's what truly like.
And we don't
stand
expect expect people to not keep
just
their,
normalize and
we love when people come from different cultures and show the great things about those cultures and like we love like their like holidays and their cuisine and but like not making it Canadian, like keeping it authentic to their cultures.
Is there such a thing as Canadian cuisine to be?
Poutine?
Well, yeah. Besides that,
Tim Hortons.
I think
Hawaiian
just
pizza.
donuts. I think the biggest example I have of that is how you see, especially in the Sikh Indo-Canadian population, how they love hockey.
Most of them,
there's entire radio stations of I can't understand a word they're saying, obviously, because they're speaking Punjab or something like that, and you can hear the excitement when they're watching a hockey game. It's like, wow, I haven't seen this kind of excitement since when I was a kid for hockey, and I think that speaks volume about what kind of country we've become.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for this.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Right. We're going to finish the show with one last thing because it's been a while since we've done this, but where is it? Oh, jeez.
You're going to play Old Canada?
No.
Oh.
Where's my... I have to edit this. Okay. Future Kevin, edit this. Let's do one more thing because we love to... Things that make you go, If there's something typically Canadian, is we like to poke gentle fun of our American friends. Let's face it, right? You love to do that.
Yep.
Oh, yes.
Have you guys ever heard of Fort Blunder?
Yeah.
Now, this is okay. This is a fort that actually was built. This is I'll read the entire article here. The War of 1812 ended in a draw between the United States and Britain, because at the time Canada was not officially a country, so it was the British soldiers that went all the way to Washington and burned down the White House. And that's why it's the White House. They had to actually paint it white because at the time it was kind of like just a stone color.
Huh.
Yeah, didn't know that, right? Particularly, so it could have ended badly for the United States, particularly in the second half of 1814. So after the war, President Madison vowed to strengthen the country's military capabilities. And of course, and Americans are proud of their engineering skills, rightfully so, right? So in both the Americans' Revolutionary War of 1812 and the British launched invasions down to Lake Champlain in the hopes of cutting America in two, if you know your geography a bit. To ensure this could never happen again, the Madison administration ordered the construction of a modern, heavy fort on the New York shores of Lake Champlain. It named the place Fort Montgomery in honor of General Richard Montgomery, a hero of the American Revolutionary War. Now, engineers began construction of the fort in 1816. They placed Fort Montgomery on Island Point, a small promontory jutting out into the northernmost end of Lake Champlain. The fort, when finished, would be shaped like an octagon and have 30-foot walls made of stone, deploying 125 cannons. No British warship could sail past it without coming under heavy fire. It strategically absolutely worked. There was just one little problem. Due to a surveying error, it was accidentally built half a mile north of the Canadian border.
Thanks for the fort, guys.
Oops. Big oops. So, under the 1783 Treaty of Paris, the border between New York and Quebec was the 45th parallel. But the previous understanding of the location of that line of latitude was wrong. So the surveyors discovered the fact in 1818. By this point, the U.S. have already spent $275,000 in 1818, which is a lot of money. A lot of money back then, on the construction, which was quite a lot of money. The U.S. government immediately ordered a halt to construction and abandoned the site. Fort Montgomery became known as Fort Blunder.
That's a great story. It's just a wonderful story.
It's a wonderful, wonderful story. So
slow clap, guys. Slow clap.
So, thank you so much to our American friends for this little gift, I guess.
thanks for hanging in there on our marathon show.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but it is Canada Day. We're entitled.
Yeah, so exactly. So thank you so much for all this, guys. That was a great little show, and really appreciate you guys celebrating Canada Day with us. And hopefully you go out there and have some fun. So thank you so much. Thanks, Ahmed, for being with us. Thank you for guys for being with us. Thank you for listening. You can find us at leftandvalley.com. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter at LATV Podcast. You can send us an email at leftandvalley@outlook.com. Sending comments to Nancy on the third floor. Beware the incoming knife. If you'd like to be our friend Freethinker215, you can support us on Patreon/LATV. Give us a 5-star review wherever you find us. It helps us and helps others find the show. All right, coming up. Next week, we'll have the Amy Cool from the Ginger Snaps. Where is my schedule? I believe. Let me pull that up here. That's right, the Ginger Snap with Amy Cool. We'll be talking to her about this. Next week after that, we'll have lawyer Andrew Torres. We'll be talking about the whole abortion thing that's been going on in the States. That'll be interesting. And of course, after that, later in July, we'll have the voice of the legendary Seth Andrews. We'll be talking about free speech. And at the end of the month, our friend Robert Stanley comes back.
Yay!
And he's going to give us a course on Philosophy 101.
Oh.
Yes, and we also spoke to Brent and Nikki, and we'll have him come August 3rd. He said August 4th. August 3rd.
There goes the summer.
There goes the summer. And of course, at the on the 10th of August, we'll have Michael Sparks versus Jerry Montanez talk about Bernie Sanders versus the other candidates. Who should they vote for? Who do they want to see?
Oh, there'll be enough in the campaign where that'll be a really good
Exactly. That'll be an interesting talk between those two. Perfect. Excellent. Anything else we need to add? No?
Happy Canada Day. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to our American friends.
Go watch Good Omens on Amazon Prime. It's actually really good.
How much
Not
money,
on Netflix.
How much money did Netflix pay you and Harry Potter pay you to...
Well, Netflix specifically for that one? Quite a bit.
Yeah, because Netflix actually doesn't do Good Omens.
Nope.
Yeah.
Amazon. You heard that story?
Yeah, I heard the story. Yes, yeah.
You know, but it's actually a really good show.
I heard. Yeah, I heard.
I'm excited to watch it.
I'm still watching Chernobyl.
I haven't
finished
seen
it.
that
Oh,
one.
God. You guys are all over the place. Anyway, I'll close the show. Thank you, guys. Have a good time. Until next time.
But Jesus is Zeus, Thor, Mithra, Vishnu, you don't believe in them.
And then
Awesome.
we're just going to grab you guys for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or whatever you want to give us. Oh, by the way, you got the crew, of course, Nancy, Christina, Kirsten, and we also have Ahmed with us. So, guys, say hello to Brent and Nikki.
Hello.
Hey, guys. Good to have you with us again.
Yeah, Nancy, great to be here.
And we also have a Mormon listener. So we have Tammy here. She's just being silent.
Come on, Tammy. You can say hello. No, it's fine.
No, she's too shy. She's waving.
Okay.
They can't see you. It's radio.
She's
Just
waiting.
imagine
Just
it.
waving.
Just imagine it.
This is what I have to deal with.
That you love us, Kevin.
Yes, I do. I love you all.
Since they're holy men of God, they get away scot-free. And the Pope does his very best to keep it on the hush. Don't wanna affect business, he loves money too much. We know that they love the kids, but how the fuck can we protect them while they planning to molest them? We teaching them to respect them.
Fuck that.
The system is broke down, working backwards, and the only action or tactic I plan to practice now is to attack them. The parties of God's hands are bloodstained, millions of murders by believers, and they're all in God's name. And let me take a sec, don't mean to sound so hateful, but I swear to God, unintended, I find it disgraceful that many atheists are told to be quiet. You're not alone, speak your mind, time to let it be known. I'm proud to be an atheist, a skeptic, a non-believer, an infidel, a heathen. I call it how I see it. I say it's ignorance, and you just call it faith and unsubstantiated claims. That's something to be ashamed. I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist.